If you can do this, you can do this. Open the app.
If you're watching this video right now, there's a very good chance that you are working a 9-to-5 job. You're working 8 hours a day, but without working those same 8 hours, at least not every single day, you could be doing this. You do 2 sales, make $200, and today I'm going to tell you how to do that. I'm not going to sell you a course. I'm not going to make you buy anything. I'm going to tell you what I did to start doing digital product sales because I think it can actually help you make some extra money even if you don't want to quit your day job. Let's do it. Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. If you're somebody who's new here, my name is Roberto Blake. I'm a creative entrepreneur. I have a background in design and advertising and doing online marketing. I am a public speaker. I'm at events like Social Media Marketing World. I'm going to be speaking at Video Marketing World and Vid Summit this year. And today I want to talk to you about digital product sales. Recently, I did a couple of videos that you guys received very well. I did some videos on freelancing so that if you are struggling for money, fastest way to make money is to do a side hustle, use your skills, be a virtual assistant, those type of things. If you are looking to make passive income and change your life, which is what I did, there are some really great things you can do, and one of them is sell your own product. Right now, if you're somebody who works a 9-to-5 job and you love your job, this video might not be for you unless you want to make extra money. So, don't worry about it. But if you are someone who either wants to quit their job, wants to build their own business, and that is something that you feel is accessible to you because you have access to the internet, I have a ton of content on this channel that can help you, whether you need to build the skills, learn the software, know what to buy, even to market yourself, then you want to subscribe to this channel and hit notifications so that you can get all those videos. I've done like 1,000 videos on this stuff. Whatever job you've had in the past either sells a product or a service. Sales is the entire game. And what I want to teach you is, one, how to develop a $99 product, a $100 product that you can sell. That way, while you're at work, there's a good chance that this is making sales, and eventually this could either offset or replace your income. This could be helpful. And like I said, I'm not selling you an online course on how to build a course or a business or anything like that. I'm just going to give you the information. There are resources in the description down below. You can use those. You can take it or leave it. What I did in order to grow my business is I created a couple of different digital online products. There were other ways that I was already making money online. I had my coaching clients, I had my corporate workshops and my public speaking, but I wanted to make more money. And I know that every company sells a product or a service, and that you can do a service, but it takes time. And that is something that you don't have but so many hours in the day. But if you have products, they can be sold 24/7, 365 using the internet and using social media platforms or even paid advertising. So it occurred to me that, okay, the best way to make more money is not necessarily to work harder up front every single day. It's to put a lot of effort into building these products that an audience that I am aware of or that I have wants, and to sell and market those products directly to them. And if I price them appropriately, then I could easily double my money, triple my money. And that's what worked out. There are a couple of things you need before you even think about doing this. You need a way to accept payment, first of all. So you either need a PayPal account or you need a Stripe account. You can go to paypal.com and you can sign up for this, or you can go to stripe.com, sign up for this. These are free services. This is going to allow you to capture money when people buy your product. It's going to deliver them a receipt, all of those things. And this is free, so it's not like it's a big investment on your part. You also need a platform that can allow you to sell a digital product. Now, I use a platform called Kajabi. This is ideal if you want to build a coaching business. So if you're somebody who's in the health or fitness space and you're a nutrition expert or something like that, or if you're somebody that is in the social media space, you have a platform that you've mastered like Instagram or Snapchat or Pinterest, then this is ideal for you as well. If you just want to sell digital one-off products, let's say you're a photographer and you want to sell a Lightroom preset, or you're a videographer and you want to sell a Let's Pack as a digital download, there's another place you can go. It's free. It's called Sellfy. I'm going to link to a lot of these resources for you in the description, so make sure you're checking those out. There's also some things in there that are affiliate links, so I want to be transparent. I will make passive income from the clicks on those links, so that does help me help the channel, and it lets me do more of this stuff for you guys. But the thing is, you need a platform to sell with. You need a resource to capture the money. So that's also important. If you're going to do a service, I would tell you need a system to do invoicing. And so you might use something like Hello Bonsai, or you might use something like FreshBooks that can help with your accounting side. So just kind of take a peek at those things. But the main thing here, capture the money and have a platform to sell the product. Now, this is where things get interesting and it's not quote unquote for everybody. You need to be able to be capable of building a product to sell. Not everyone needs to sell an online digital course, like I said. You might be a photographer,
Good morning, guys.
And you can sell something other than a course. You might be somebody that has a different skill. Primary example, I am somebody who had a background in graphic design and advertising.
What job? The TV thing? If that's what you're talking about, it's not a job. The TV thing is completely volunteer. I will not be getting paid for that. I will not receive any kind of monetary compensation for participating in a public access channel. It's 100% volunteer work. So what I will receive is more exposure, building up my network of local artists, and adding a major attribute to my artist resume is probably the only things which are very valuable, which is as valuable as money, if not more valuable, is who you know. I will make a lot of connections doing this, a lot of local connections anyway. So, ooh, ow, you heard that? That's that old man shit. Ah, and them bones be cracking in the morning. Man. So, yeah. Monday I'm gonna start really calling people and getting the first group of artists lined up. Yeah. When I straighten my arm out, or if I overextend that shit, that motherfucker will pop. But it feel good though. Like, until I do that, I feel like I don't have full range. I know that shit is bad. I can tell if I live a long life, when I'm 60, I ain't gonna be able to bend that bitch. Well, by the time I'm 60, prosthetics, cybernetics, and all that fucking shit, that shit'll be so advanced. Like, motherfucker, just give you a new elbow. Just give me a whole new fucking hand. Matter of fact, I don't even want no hand. I want a ice cream scooper. Fuck that. Just ice cream all day. I seen the one movie. I watched this one movie called Upgrade. Check that shit out. It's basically the same story every time. If you watch the remake of if you watch the remake of Blade Runner, same scenario. If you ever watch Ex Machina, same scenario. And if you watch fucking Upgrade, it's the same shit. Yeah. Nah, shit. I don't know, man. That mansion life that shit not for me. I went to a mansion yesterday. Yeah, I went to a mansion yesterday, yo. Can't take pictures of, yo. You can't take pictures of the inside of this shit. No video, no social media. But if you look up this artist, his name is Hunt Slonim. SOLENM. Slonim. It's something like that. Hunt Slonim. A guy out of New York, but he's this fucking rich, famous ass artist, and he goes around and buys up like all these old historical buildings and then turns them into like his private art collection. Like he's an artist, but he collects like really, really expensive antique shit. And so in the city I live in, he has two properties. Cause I live in an old ass fucking city that was booming during the Industrial Revolution. It was a coal mining city. There was tons of coal around here when that shit was popping. I'm saying like, they say this is the first city in America that had an electric trolley, and that's what it was known for. The first electric trolley is gonna revolutionize transportation, and it was broadcast here in this fucking city. But like, there's old money, yo, old money around this shit, yo, old ass bread, old fucking that real old gangster mafia shit, not the oil money, but the coal money, and it was just as big as the oil money, yo. That coal got that old ass coal money around this shit, but there's some parts of the city, man, that's just got these fucking huge ass fucking mansions, yo. That shit is crazy. Yeah, yo. So he owns 8 properties. He literally brought a slave plantation in like Louisiana or somewhere, like a historical plantation mansion. You know what I'm saying? You know how them fucking white southern slave owners had it back in the day. He bought one of them shits. Just fill that shit with art. Brought a fucking multi-million-dollar property and then put multiple millions of dollars worth of art in this shit and statues and antique furniture, and it's like, and so he brought the National Guard Armory, and he brought the Woolworth Mansion. Now they say Woolworth is the family who came up with the five and dime back in the day. It was kind of like the dollar store of its time, the five and dime, Woolworth five and dime. And so they family had that bread, yo. And they built this fucking big ass mansion in the city before it was a big ass city. And he just bought that shit, renovate that shit, yo. Walk through that motherfucker, bro. It's like, once again, it's just all this beautiful antique furniture. Like, where did the fuck you get this shit from, son? There is this fucking Japanese style fucking Anwar, and it had, yo, like carved fucking dragons. Like the fascia of this thing was fucking carved dragons all the way up, and this big ass fucking dragon at the top, like carved in wood, yo. And then it was glass doors, and on the shelves is just all these little fucking different kind of Buddhas made out of like gold and ivory and marble. It's like, what the fuck, son? I mean, the fireplace in this house, there's a fireplace, like the mantle for the fireplace, that shit was like a half a foot above my head. I mean, the hearth of the fireplace was like here. Like, yo, I was like, what the fuck? You can fit like 4 people can stand inside the fireplace. Like, I don't know, this house was fucking stupid. Bruh, and I can't even describe it. Like, what I'm attempting to put in words, there is no, like, it had this, it wasn't even, well, I guess it was a dining area, but it had like this embellished Victorian detailing on the fucking, like all of the crown molding and the decorative molding in the ceiling was, I don't know. Hunt, I still haven't met him yet. I know his right hand man, and that's the guy I'm doing a TV show with. And so Hunt hires him to basically just curate his properties for him, just take care of his shit. I never asked him like how much Hunt be paying you, but he don't. That's all he does. When he gets a new piece of art, and depending on where he wants it, if he wants it here, he'll call the guy be like, "Yo, I'm having some stuff dropped off. Take it over here, hang it in this section or this wing," and that's what he does. He just makes sure everything's clean, make sure the light bills get paid and all that shit. Make sure the grounds are kept up, and he basically just curates the properties for him. And so that's the guy I know, and he's like, yeah, you just go check this shit out, man. This shit is awesome, and it is fucking awesome. I'm like, yo, like the one mansion is almost like right downtown, the Woolworth Mansion, and I've driven by this shit, and you won't really notice it. You just notice like, okay, it actually looks like it's part of the fucking university, but it's like this really, really nice ass fucking house with this big ass terrace. It's weird how it sits right there, and yeah, even from the outside, it's very like striking. Like, oh, that's nice. That's nice architecture. That shit is some old ass shit. But then when you go in that motherfucker, you like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh damn, oh god damn. Yo, good morning. What's up, bro? That's all you do. Hello? Anybody break in? Ain't nobody steal shit? Do a little dusty. Hang this picture up. Alright guys, I'm out. Lock the door. It's like, that's your job? It's like, that's what I do. I'm like, but then when you see like some of this shit, man, like at the armory, they have these. He has these two mirrors that are 16 feet tall. A mirror, a piece of glass, and the shit ain't no thin glass. It's like a fucking an inch and a half, a glass mirror. It was for a carnivore or some shit, but they're like 16 feet tall, and they have these big ass, massive wooden frames on it. The motherfuckers weigh like 800 pounds a piece, and my man had to hang them shits. He was like, and it was on the second floor. He was like, how the fuck do we do this? Hunt don't care. He said, I want them shits in here, in that room, on the second floor right there. And he had to figure out how to get that shit up in there, yo. He got them, but he was like, yo, it took a couple guys, and that shit was not easy. Hanging fucking 800-pound, 16-foot tall mirrors. Like, god damn. Then he got some other paintings, some paintings that are like fucking 6 feet by 8 feet. Once again, the goddamn frame, the frame on the goddamn shit probably weigh like 150 pounds by itself. It's like, oh god damn. You want this shit on the third floor? Where you at? Oh my god. But that shit, if I said I can't even explain it, man. I brought my girlfriend and my homie with me because the first time I went there, he just took me by myself, and like now you just can't. You gotta see that shit. You just gotta see that shit. You know I took a picture, right? But I ain't gonna show y'all on camera. Inbox me. It's like, all right, this pictures of the inside. I want to show y'all the inside of this shit. But this is the fucking terrace outside. Now this is fucking downtown in the city, yo. But he had this shit before it was a city. Now that's just the fucking terrace. Yo, you gotta come. Alright, you see that building here, right? So down there where that first wall at is the house over here. So you gotta walk up some stairs to even get to this grass right here. Walk across the grass, walk up these stairs, and this shit is just like a big ass fucking sitting area. But how you got all this like in the city? And that's that. Look at that shit, yo. Yo, that shit is fucking crazy, bruh. anybody can drive around town and see the outside of it. You can't. I ain't gonna show you the inside. There's another one from the outside. That's looking at the terrace the other way. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the yard right here. This first grass. Then you gotta go up them stairs to this little terrace right here, and then go up them stairs, and that's the fucking sitting area. All this shit is like, those steps are fucking. They're not marble, but they ain't no cheap ass rock, man. When you walk on these stairs, bro, you can see that shit got a shine to it. Like, what the fuck kind of stone is that shit? Yo, that's what it is, bro. Shit, I probably don't be here that long anyway. I'm probably gaming the day too. It's Saturday, early in the morning. That's why I got up early. Go ahead and get my day started. Get me a couple hours of painting in. And I'm gonna have a lazy day. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I fucked up on that fucking Ghost Recon, man. Swear to God, yo, they fucking so they put this new mode in Ghost Recon called Ghost Mode. And it's basically the campaign mode. That's all it is. Except they changed like a couple things about the campaign mode. They change your bullets and how you reload your gun. So, in Ghost Mode, if you got a full clip of ammunition and you shoot 3 rounds out of your clip, say you had a 30-round clip, you shoot 3 rounds, you get 27 rounds left. If you change your clip and try to reload it to have full ammo again, you lose those rounds that were in that previous clip. Those 27 rounds, those shits come out of your fucking inventory. And now you have less ammunition because you swapped your clip out before it was empty. And you can hurt and inflict damage upon your squad mates. And if you die, that's it. You only get one time to die. If you die, you lose everything, and you have to start that shit back over, yo, from the fucking beginning. I died twice on that shit, yo. First time, I went like 4.5 hours. Died. I was like, what the fuck, son? Started that shit again. No lie, yo. I had 12 hours on that shit. Fucking died. I was like, nah! Yo! 12 hours. Just gone. Like, now, I think I got like, I'm back to like 2 or 3 hours. Fucking shit, yo. Just thinking about that shit. But there's a good ass prize if you complete the whole game in Ghost Mode. You get like it kind of looks like some Call of Duty, like that power exoskeleton shit. So for each section of the map that you complete, you pick up a piece of like this exoskeleton, a helmet, a chest plate, the arms, the legs, and the boots. But you gotta make it all the way through the game without fucking dying one time to get the whole fucking set, yo. Bruh. Put that shit on arcade. I'm just telling you, and ain't no fucking shame in that shit. Don't play that shit on, not even regular. Don't even play that shit on regular mode. When you try, just put that shit on arcade mode, on easy mode, and try to go through it like that, cause that shit's still rough, bruh. And I mean, in a certain area, and on the northern hemisphere of the map, don't fucking fly no helicopters, yo, even on arcade mode, cause the motherfuckers come shooting your ass down, bro. That's how I died the second time. And like I was dipping and dodging, and man, that fucking surface to air missile still fucking blew that helicopter up, bro. Like, that's what I'm telling myself now, like, fuck that, I'll fast travel and drive everywhere I got to go. Like, I'm not fucking getting no helicopters. That shit too easy to die. And then I'm trying to eject, yo. That shit would not let me fucking jump out the fucking helicopter, yo. Like, what the fuck? Lost 12 hours of that shit. But I ain't even gonna lie. For real, that's what I plan on doing today. I just plan on putting like a couple hours in. trying to get back through that ghost mode. I ain't got shit else to do. The last commission I worked on, that shit is done. It's just drying. As soon as that dries, and get that shipped out. And I got a show coming up. I got to drop off some art on the 1st, but I got everything ready for that. I got a couple of pieces I did. One piece I did last year that still hasn't been seen anywhere yet, so I'm good for that. And this piece is almost done. And then I got 5 or 6 canvases over there already started. So, Joe, good morning. But yeah. Oh, trust me, man. That ghost mode, try that shit, bro. I would. I'm liking that ghost mode. That shit is a challenge, dude. That shit. And then they got new challenges on just the regular. Afro Girl. Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be based on my art. I'm gonna be the interviewer, and I'm gonna be talking about everybody else's art. You know, they was like, oh, we gotta have somebody interview you. I was like, yeah, maybe like later on, but I want to be established as the host. You know what I'm saying? I'm in charge of this shit. Y'all, you know, my art is so well known. Y'all should just know it already. Go in there with that arrogance. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but yeah, Ghost Recon. So in the regular campaign mode, not the ghost mode, just regular campaign, they've put new challenges in there to get people back playing that shit again. But there was a couple of challenges I liked. There was the first one I did, you had to get, I know that's right. The first challenge was you had to get 5 headshots on any kind of enemies at a distance of 150 meters or more, and you had to have your HUD turned completely off. No HUD at all. Bruh. Trying to fucking determine 150 meters with no HUD, and you don't have your dots and your circles and all that shit to spot the enemies, no pings, and you can't fucking, you can barely find them to get your fucking team, your squad mates to shoot them. That shit is interesting. That's how that shit should be played, yo. Like, if you want some real intense fucking shooter shit, play that Ghost Recon with no HUD and see if that shit won't make you think of that goddamn SOCOM. I know the last time we had enough guys for a custom match, we're in there playing custom matches, running custom, and they not customizing. It's like, dude, turn the HUD off or do something, man. What? It's a custom match. Customize it. Turn the HUD off. Make it nighttime. Make this shit real. And nobody wanted to do that shit. I was like, hey, y'all motherfuckers just want to run around and look at the map. That shit don't be fun to me. I gotta grab a drink. I done talked so much already, my goddamn mouth dry as hell.
Oh, shoot, man, you're right. Look, I don't know what to do. Give me a sec. I'm gonna call Phil. I'm gonna call someone here. Hang with me, bro. You're gonna be alright. Yeah, I got a gunshot wound down here. I need help right away. What would you do in that situation? You come along someone who's been injured by a gunshot, maybe you're at the range or up in the mountains hunting, or God forbid you find yourself in the middle of a mass shooting and you're in a position to help those around you. Would you even know what to do or where to start? I know I wouldn't, and that's where the idea for this video came from. If I ever found myself in that position, I want to at least have the training and confidence to give someone the best chance of survival until first responders arrive. Now to clarify, this video is not intended for the medical professional. I created this video to help the everyday person like me with little to no medical experience on how to treat a gunshot wound, and more specifically on the best practices one can utilize to keep a gunshot victim alive until first responders arrive on scene. To help me out along the way, I've asked one of my best friends and one of the best people I know to help out. I'll let him introduce himself and some of his credentials now.
My name's Nick. I'm a local paramedic here in the state of Utah. Trained for about 10 years in emergency medical services, EMT paramedic. Also have advanced level training in trauma through previous employment as a flight paramedic. Unfortunately, yes, I have been on gunshot victims. I've had the misfortune of being the paramedics that have responded to police-involved shootings with suspects and things like that. So I've taken care of a fair amount of gunshot wound victims.
Before we get into details for specific areas on the body in which they're wounded, let's just talk about general best practices with gunshot wounds. The number one priority with any gunshot wound is to control the bleeding.
At the end of the day, there's going to be bleeding, depending on where that bleeding's coming from and what type of tissues and or vessels that the bullets had struck will determine kind of the severity of it. So worst case scenario would be like an arterial bleed, which a person can bleed out almost instantaneously from that, because every time the heart beats, it squeezes out a large blood volume with that, and you can bleed out in 30 seconds to a minute in one of those type of situations. So we're usually there within 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the time that page happens and where we're at and things like that. But in that time, if somebody has a penetrating wound that has struck an artery and they're bleeding heavily, 3 to 5 minutes, if nothing's done prior to us getting there, they may have lost too much blood, and we don't have any way of being able to replace blood in the field. So it could be something that if someone acted on scene, they could potentially save their life just by stopping the bleeding, or even minimizing the bleeding if they can't completely stop it, but just by applying pressure and controlling massive hemorrhage and just keeping it minimal. In these types of situations, stop the hemorrhaging first, control the bleeding, and then when we get there, we'll work on if they need like airway support and things like that. That would be something. But for just a general person at the gun range or at home or something like that, my recommendation would be to control the bleeding and then let us worry about the airway and the breathing and things.
So our responsibility as first help to a victim is to immediately control that bleeding. This is going to give the victim the best chance of survival until EMS can arrive to continue treatment. Lucky for us, controlling bleeding really only comes down to one thing: applying pressure. Now we've all heard about applying pressure to wounds, but what exactly does that look like? Are you just running up blindly and putting your hands on someone's wound? How much pressure is enough pressure?
We're just going to simulate. I just have this towel here. The last thing I want you to do is to panic out of trying to think of what's the right thing to do. Just grab whatever's at hand, put pressure, wait for us to get there. Okay? So using this situation, we're going to simulate an injury to the arm here. We have an entrance wound on this side, exit wound on this side. What I would do is I would just take this, I would just wrap it around, and I'm just going to simply just grab your arm like this, and I am just going to bear hug your arm as tight as I possibly can until my fingers cramp up and I can't hold it anymore.
Okay.
So,
And yeah, he's applying a good amount of pressure. I've heard it's sort of like a hose, right? Like
Yep.
if a hose is running, water's coming out.
Mhm.
You can't stop that from putting your hand over it or whatever.
Yep.
Like you want to apply
Yep,
pressure.
you want to apply pressure and you want to keep that sucker off if you can as best as possible. Okay, so femoral, arterial, again, these are going to be the ones that are going to bleed heavily and they're going to bleed fast. So you're going to have to get even more aggressive. And so I would just, again, get up close and personal.
What's up, y'all? True life stories. I guess y'all again with another DMT trip that was fucking
Wow, my homie hit me, he like, hey man, come, let's go over there to TJ real fast. I'm like, okay. Right, we go smash over there. Then when we get to the other dude, this nigga get scared, he don't want to do it and shit. But I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So bam, I hit it, I held it, blew it out. Hit it again, I held it, I blew it out. But I didn't hold it for a long time because I started choking, so it came right out. So I hit it again, and I just held it, and as I held it, everything started fucking going crazy. It like started changing, everything started changing. So I just like kicked back, just holding it, looking at the sky, and like the sky started to digitize like Minecraft or something. It was like weird. It started doing like Minecraft and like little squares, like you know what I mean, like that. And then it just said floosh. It was like, but at first it was like, when it started to kick in, it went boop, boop, and when it did that, like everything got hella bright. It was like hella crazy. Everything just got hella bright and shit. But like, okay, now the clouds they start changing and shit. And then it went poof again, and then it just was like different patterns and colors, and it was like people or something. It was weird though, cause it was like weird. It was like people, but they was like in purples and blues and stuff like that. And I could barely kind of make them out because it was like so many different shapes and stuff, and like it was starting to get kind of weird. So I said, I'm gonna close my eyes, and I closed my eyes, and when I closed my eyes, here come the hieroglyphs, going all which types of ways, and making like the little snakes and the different colors and designs and stuff. And I'm just like looking at it, and it was getting scary. Like it'll get scary, but like I said, I'm not scared no more because I done did it enough times to like not be scared. So as it was changing and stuff, like I started to see like it's like when you at school and you start daydreaming, right? Like you be taking the test and you daydream and the numbers kind of get blurred and you might see a little tiny spot on the paper and you'll just be like looking at that spot, just like homing in on that spot because you're thinking about something else that has nothing to do with the test. It was like that. It was like I seen so many of the hieroglyphs, like I was there forever. It seemed like for hours just looking at it. So I just like kind of dazed off. And as I dazed off, I could see the silhouette like it was like a dome. Right? I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like looking up, I'm like, it's a dome. But then you can see like the metal part going down like that, and then you can see another metal piece coming across like that, and it seemed like it was like kind of netted, like it was like kind of like a net or something. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, what the fuck am I seeing? And like as I look closer, I can see through it in certain spots. So I'm like looking through it, and I see the silhouette of this dude. He like standing over me, doing like this, like he like drilling into my forehead, and like I could feel like a little burn in here, like as he's going like this, and then as he's doing that, it's like a female. She come by and she do like this, and she look, and then I could tell it's a female because I could see the breasts and stuff like that, and then she take off, and then it was like, bam. Then another dude came a little bit later, and he looked. And then he take off. So dude finished drilling, and then when he stopped, he takes off. When he take off, wait, hold on, man, because this shit is crazy, man. And I don't edit my videos. I just give it to you straight how it is. I'm not gonna edit anything. So, okay, as I'm looking through this dome, it's like I could see that the patterns that it's showing me, it's like a fucking curved TV that comes like from like all like out this side of my visual, out this side of my visual. It goes all the way around like this, and all the hieroglyphs that I'm seeing is like that curved TV. And it's like when I look a little bit beyond that curved TV, I can see them doing what they're doing, and it was crazy because dude, he finished drilling. And he got up and he walked away and he walked away. It seemed like as I'm trying to look through this shit and like figure out what the fuck, cause it feel like I'm laying down. It feel like I'm laying down and I'm looking up at like a simulation. Like that's what the fucking hieroglyphs was. They were like all these patterns and shit was like a TV simulation that was throwing me off of what was going in there. It's like I came into a simulation being here and I'm laying in this thing and I'm looking. And so when dude got finished, somebody else came and they like look. And they looking and then they like start dancing. And then they went on. And then it was like every couple of moments somebody come and they'll look. And then they'll go on. Like two of them though, they did like they was dancing or something and they kept going on, but I could see their silhouettes, but I couldn't see like who they were. I couldn't see no faces or I couldn't see none of that. This was fucking, dude, it's crazy. It's crazy because me seeing the cross, I understand why the cross is so valuable. Because when you're laying back in the simulation and you're looking up at the simulation, when you go in, you see the cross or the womb or whatever they want to fucking call it. But that it was like a cross. It was shaped just like the way the cross was. That's how it looked to me. It was fucking trippy, man. That was a trip. But it seemed like the one dude he drilling on my head and they walking by, just looking as he's doing his thing, and it was like, fuck, dude, that's crazy, man. It make you think about all this. It make you think about it like as if, but this allowed of people to come into a simulation, and then it make me think about dimensions, right? Because if this is like all one big computer, actually, that we're in, then yes, you can probably go to other dimensions to where it's different types of beings. And all these beings and stuff in these different dimensions are all part of the same simulation of the same computer. It's like when you go into and you watch Google and you go on the internet and you got Google and you got Yahoo and you got, it's like there are different ones you can go in and you can search. You can search for what you want or what not. But then sometimes people can go basically on the computer. They can come into your computer through your Wi-Fi or your internet. Wow, through your Wi-Fi or your internet, they can come in your computer and get your information. So therefore, I can understand why some beings will be able to come in and out of this dimension. I think that will be possible. Because it's something like that. It's like different codes that you have to know, and in order to break through these different things. And then, man, that was just trippy. I was laying back. I could see the cross, dude. I could see that shit, and I could see these beings. The one working on me, and they just taking turns like coming to check, coming to check, coming to check, and I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. So if that's the case, right? If what I seen, if what the fuck I just seen is actually true, right? If what I seen is actually true, this is the way I'm taking it. I'm not sure if this is right or whatnot, but the way I'm taking it is, if that is true, then I understand a lot of things that be said with like scriptural things, like when you say, I knew you when you was in the womb. Yeah, you did. You knew me before that. Because when I got put in the simulation, you know what I mean? And when you come into the simulation, you believe what you want to believe. So you're going to believe it's a higher power because the way this is. In order to come into this flesh, I guess this is how it got to be. And I don't know, man. That is fucking trippy because I felt like I was laying back in a machine, dude. I was in a machine in the dome, which is the dome that they're talking about that we're trapped in. They say we trapped in a dome. Fucking yeah, you're trapped in a dome. It's a dome. It's a dome, and it has a cross. and it has the like the net, like the netted in the glass where you can still see through it though, but it's still a dome. And you can see that cross when you're looking up. You can't see the bands that's down here, but you can see the band that go down like this, and you can see the band that come about right there, to where it looks like a perfect cross. That's what you see. And then you see the simulation. You see the fucking, like when I was seeing the hieroglyphs, they was like a fucking TV that went, a curved TV, but it went all the way around my head to here. And to where everywhere I look, I just see the simulation. Until I fucking started basically not paying attention to it. I started basically daydreaming because I had seen it already, and it was like going back and forth and back and forth, evil, good, evil, good. And then like once I just started not paying attention to it, that's when I started seeing it, and it was like I could feel myself like trying to like pierce through it. It was like I was trying to pierce through it. I was seeing like, what? Like, come on now. But I'm saying though, if this is true, which I don't know, but I know what I fucking just seen right now. So you can say I'm crazy, you can say I'm tripping, or let me know how you interpret what I see. Because that's how I take it when I see the cross. That's why the cross is so valuable. Because when we get put in here, that's what we see. Even if you're in here and you wake up, that's what you see. You see the cross. It's right there. It's in your face all the time. The dome. They talk about the dome. The dome is in your face all the fucking time. That's why it's a dome. That's why you can't see beyond the dome. That's the way that I feel about what I see. That's the way that I feel. And I feel like I'm going crazy, man, because beyond like going like through my journey, what I always wanted to know through this journey when I started it 10 years ago, I always said I just want to know the truth. I didn't want to know who was the real God, or who was Jesus, or who was this or who was that. I always wanted to know the truth. So if I seen the Minotaur that one time, I seen Shiva or whoever that other guy was the next time, the one who Kali, the one who have her tongue out, I seen that the next time. It was something that was like kind of spooky, but then after a while, when I grasped hold of it days later, it wasn't scary. But at the time, it was scary. And now, this time, I see this. That's making me go hum. That's making me question this whole reality right here. Because I seen how it digitized and it broke up. It's making me question this. And now I see, man, that's why the technology oh my God, man. If that is just real, what I just seen, man, do you know what kind of, that shatters a lot of shit. If what I see right now was true, that shatter any belief system that's ever was created right now in this reality. That fucking shatters it. That means that the gods and all this stuff is like beyond some bullshit. It's some shit that's just created in this reality to keep you binded to what's going on, because this is a simulation and we're here for the human experience. So think about that. And I hope that's not what it is. I'm hoping that's not what it is. You know what I mean? When we talk about the creator and we talk about these different things, man, this sounds like something that's programmed into us. It's something that's programmed for us to believe. And then, yeah, when what's name had that vision, yeah, he probably did see a cross. Because when you're about to damn near wake up about this motherfucking matrix, you see a cross. That's what you see. That's why the cross is so big in symbolism and it's been here for so long. The cross is what you see when you're waking up. I don't know, but I'm saying I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's the way I'm looking at it. So man, I'm telling y'all, that was beyond my wildest dreams right there. I thought I was gonna see aliens and beings, but I seen something that brought me to a further understanding to then all of that to me. But I don't know if I'm going crazy. Just tell me, man. This true life stories. Just tell me. I can accept it. You know what I mean? But what I seen was that was the wildest thing. And as it comes back to me, I'm gonna hit y'all up. I'm gonna let y'all know what's going on. You know what I mean? When I take that trip, go back to TJ, I'm gonna let y'all know. True life stories, man. Thumbs up. Don't forget to thumbs me up, man. And let me know what's going on, what I'm seeing.
So what do you think about that shit, yeah? This motherfucker say he went on a DMT trip. Hit the fucking DMT. Sat back, and then he saw the fucking dome. He saw the fucking the goddamn whoever built the dome or whoever takes care of the dome or whoever handles people who crosses over. He saw those people.
You look at
and they did something to him, and he saw hieroglyphs, and so, pretty interesting. Every time you talk about a dome, that goes back to the flat Earth theory. That's weird, you know.
DMT experience and you look at its effect on the human mind, how much of you subscribes to the idea that what we're looking at is some sort of a chemical gateway?
Chemical gateway to
what? Whatever it is. To whatever that DMT experience is. That this is something that your brain has the ability to travel to. But, I mean, since we know that the body does produce this, and
right.
we know that it's possible for people to, I mean, I've never done it, but I know that people who do Kundalini yoga have apparently reported trip-like experiences that are very similar to a real DMT flash.
Mm-hmm.
So the mind has this ability to do this on its own. What do you think that is that something worth considering? That this is some sort of a pathway to a nearby dimension or to something that's around us all the time, but we just don't have access to with normal neurochemistry?
You know, there's
too many what ifs. No,
I mean there's so much in what you said where you have to go back and unpack all of these things. When we got excited about DMT, Terrence and me, in the late 60s, what led us to go to La Chorrera was that it seemed like a completely different order of magnitude than any of the other psychedelics. And we came to it really from a childhood that was steeped in science fiction. So we carried with us the idea, this really is another dimension. And it may be a portal to another dimension. And as science fiction nuts, we were totally okay with that.
Yeah.
And we thought maybe DMT was, and maybe it is, or it's somehow curtain back on something that's around us all the time that we don't see. But again, in thinking about these things, is it something that is entirely within the brain that it originates, or is it something is it like a lens that, or our eyes are covered with filters and DMT temporarily removes those filters? I think it's hard to know. I mean, I think maybe experimentally we could begin to approach this. Have you, and I think we really know. I think that's another thing about natural philosophy that's important that science is overlooking. And natural philosophy always remembers the limits of what is known, and science is a bit arrogant about what they think is known. science only understands a small fraction of all there is to know. And ayahuasca and other psychedelic always remind me of this, when I take it. Remember the limitations of your knowledge. Or sometimes it more or less kindly says it.
Right.
You don't know shit. And it's true. We don't know shit, and scientists can forget that, But as far as this DMT thing, this is actually, there's controversy about this because, a lot of people who have worked in this area say it's pretty well established that endogenous DMT can produce these states, that the pineal can secrete DMT under certain circumstances or under stress. The lungs can produce large amounts of DMT that are translocated to the brain. But it's not so clear that goes on. I mean, it's clear that it can be produced, but David Nichols, who knows a thing or two about pharmacology, founder of the Hefter Institute, world's, most authoritative, highest authority when it comes to the chemistry and pharmacology of psychedelics. He's taken a reductionist argument on this that's kind of hard to knock down, which is that DMT is produced endogenously, but it's chopped up so quickly that it never reaches the site of action, and it never reaches the levels at the neuron that it would take to activate the neuron. So
even when consumed, or are you saying endogenously produced DMT?
Endogenously.
So that
it does when you consume it. Obviously,
Right,
you flood the system and you get much higher levels than is ever produced endogenously.
But we haven't really measured the levels produced endogenously during, especially these extreme states.
And that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem. How do you do that?
Have you done
How
it?
do you do that? What?
Have you done Kundalini and tried to recreate?
No, I haven't.
Me
done
neither.
it.
I've been. Terrence had that fantastic joke. It was a talk about that this monk had practiced the city of levitation. Do you remember this one? And that the Buddha came to town and he said, for the last 20 years, I've practiced the city of levitation and I can now walk on water. And the Buddha said, yeah, but the ferry's only a nickel.
Right.
So it's like, do you want to practice Kundalini for 10 years and bang your head towards the east, or just smoke DMT,
Smoke DMT.
30 seconds later,
Right.
we're in the center of the universe?
But I think the last time I was on your show, we talked about this other thing, this Ajna light we discussed.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've interviewed.
Yeah, we have to buy you one. I said we totally dropped the ball on that.
You don't have to buy.
No, we do have to buy you
You
one.
want to buy yourself one.
I'm going to buy myself one and you one. This time we're going to do it. We said we're going to. I do too many podcasts. I forget everything.
Yeah, I know. I've never. But the Ajna light is interesting because, he claims, and that was the conversation we had. He claims, yes, this stimulates endogenous synthesis of
I'm writing this down
DMT.
right now. Spell it out for me.
AJNA. Ajna Light. And his website is just ajnalight.com. And there's some good PDFs on there that'll explain what this is about.
Get on that, Jamie.
Yeah. And
Jamie's
now Guy
ordering two
Harriman
right
owes
now.
me big time because I just
Yeah.
mentioned
All right,
this on your
guys.
show. So.
Get together.
Right. But anyway,
So this light can produce some sort of psychedelic experience.
he claims it stimulates DMT synthesis in the pineal. When you lie underneath it, it's just a bunch of, it looks like a floor lamp, with a rectangular mount, bunch of LEDs underneath it, which he programs with an iPad in different patterns. You lie under it, and it stimulates hypnagogic hallucinations that are a lot like...
That guy looks like an old school freak. Look at him.
He's a Zen monk.
I bet he is.
Yeah.
Amongst other things.
He used to be an Apple engineer. He was
Really?
Steve Jobs' right-hand man.
Wow. He went the right way.
He went the right way.
So he's got this thing. Is that cord going down to her head? I'm having a hard time seeing what's happening. So something's wrapped around her head, That better not be a crystal.
I think
I'll
that's.
fucking run out of this
I think
room.
I think it's a deceptive thing. He didn't attach anything to me when I was
it's
on it. I think
perspective
it's
issue?
a cord going
Okay.
behind her head.
Oh, I see.
So you lie under this thing,
Mhm.
and the first time I lied under it, I thought I got all these colors, I got all these hypnagogic effects, and nice patterns and all that, like a sub-threshold DMT experience.
This piece?
And I said, well, the
Hell, right about now, I don't know, probably about 30 hours into this thing, 25 hours, 30 hours. There's a lot of little details. This wood grain, this leather jacket is taking way longer than I thought. But I did have to stop working on this for a while to do a commission for somebody. So, even though there's about 25 hours into it, I've been working on this thing for a couple months now, like 2 months. That's why the next couple days I'm just gonna really just try to push this piece to get it done and start on something new. I already have some canvases started, I just gotta get to them. And I have another photo I need to get printed out. A photography studio in Atlanta is letting me use some of their work. Well, I'm already at an hour. I had only planned on being here for an hour or so anyway. Because I'm going to go play some video games. I'm not doing shit this morning. I'm not getting these colors right for some reason. Shit, man. Do it better, Trap. Do it better. You can look better than that.
The LEDs are all changing color, right? And that's how I see it. It says, no, they're white. The colors are coming from you. You're supplying the colors. So, okay. So it was interesting, and then we got into the conversation. How do you know this is stimulating DMT? How do you know that's the effect? Turns out it's not so easy to nail that down. Because DMT is so ephemeral in the system, you can't take urine samples or cerebral spinal fluid or anything. It would be gone by the time you did it. So the only way, well, maybe not the only way, but one way you could do it is you could do something called, it's essentially, you couldn't do this to a human because you couldn't get FDA approval for it, but you could put a microcapillary tube right next to the pineal that will absorb things as they are released, and then you could recover that and say, levels of DMT or higher.
Why couldn't you do that to a voluntary participant?
Voluntary or not, you'd be
screwing their brain up?
Well, no, not necessarily, but you'd have a hard time getting permission. There might be. You could do it to a rat, though.
Oh.
You could do it to a rat.
Well, that's what Cottonwood Research Foundation's done, right? They've done that. That's how they discovered DMT in the pineal. Did they do that to a live rat?
Yeah, that's how they discovered it.
That was the first proof, right?
That was the first proof. Nick Cozy, who's a pharmacologist at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, he was really the first one to show that DMT is, endogenously produced. It's a sigma-1 agonist as well as a serotonin agonist,
For 3 years?
which is another receptor.
I can imagine.
And that's definitely that, but it's not clear what the function is. It's a complicated issue, to figure this out. I'll send you a paper that Nichols wrote, or I'll link you to a video where he discusses this. And it's like, he gave that at the Breaking Convention conference last summer that I was at. And it was like, he was like the big downer of the conference, right? Because everybody has this romantic idea, and he comes along and just squashes it, And it's like, man, you've disappointed a lot of people. But on the other hand, reality is good. Good. Facts are good. What Guy did do that sort of made me think maybe there is something to it. He's tried pre-dosing with an MAO inhibitor. Just take Banisteriopsis T without the admixture about 30 minutes before going under the light, and then it's much more intense and it's much more prolonged.
You've done this?
I haven't done it. But he claims that, and other people say that it definitely enhances this. So that would indicate that the breakdown of DMT is being inhibited.
Is he claiming that you could reach actual DMT states with this device upon practice?
Yeah.
I can't stop touching. That's the one thing about paintings, bro. It's like, honestly, they're never done. I've been on this same spot for an hour. I just want to move on, but I can't stop touching it right now. Just go to a different section. Alright, something else.
Back now with a new app that could help stop those annoying robocalls, telemarketers, even phone scammers. ABC's Zachary.
I think that when people say, hey, let's do passive income, they go into like Spam City USA oftentimes. I have passive income when I'm investing in early stage startups that then go sell for 400x and I didn't do anything. I made money. Shit, I made more money on my passive income probably than my hustle income. They both work, but please make sure that your passive income has practicality to it, because all the people that have tried to create systems and automate their cash, there's been a very small percentage of people that have been able to lay on the beach while they collect money on the internet. A lot of that stuff is completely ludicrous, and I promise you the ones in the 1% of passive income spent a boatload of hard work and hard time to get to that evergreen place up in the sky. And so, I think that there's an enormous, massive misunderstanding that there are almost zero people that have pulled off substantial success without putting in real time and effort. Now, we all have different ambitions and goals. Do I think that it's easier to create $60,000 a year in passive income on the internet today? I sure do. And if that's what your goal and ambition is, that's more practical than millions. Millions of dollars in passive income on the internet, smoking weed in Jamaica while it just keeps coming in is just not as real as you think, partner. You like that one? Not right? Because that's what everybody thinks it is. Like, that's not real. Show me. Because I'll show you a billion people that like have won through hard work. Show me. Show me this magical person. Because I'll show you somebody who sells you that dream, but isn't actually doing it. I'll show you. You want me to hire some models for the afternoon and get a boat and go to some sunny place and be like, this is it? I'll show you that. You want me to show you the people on Instagram who go take all the money they own in the world in $100 forms in the bank and throw it on a bed and take a picture and then put it back in their bank? I'll show you that. I'll show you the front of this passive income dream of the internet. Sorry.
I thought that turned out a little too soft.
Is that right? You're happy that you're happy I picked up a little crescendo?
I have a question about passive income, and
Okay.
I want to know what kind of trends do you see for a person interested in that? I don't want to be stuck in an office 9 to 5 for the rest of my...
Well, passive income comes in two forms. 97% of the form is the douchiest, shittiest thing on earth, and 3% is the tried and true thing that has actually created passive income in the history of mankind. So let's find out which side you're on. How are you thinking about, when you say passive income, do you mean what do you mean?
I mean not having to work all day long. I want to be on a beach in Mexico instead of being on an office in Sweden in a cold November.
Are you being serious right now?
Yes, I'm serious.
The quickest way to not be on a beach in Mexico is to think that passive income exists. It's a bad mindset. I really believe that. I think the reason so many scumbuckets are making so much money is because you're buying stupid fucking courses over and over, thinking there's some fucking magic formula for passive income. Passive income looks like this. You take money that you can afford to go to zero, and you put them into two places that have historically created passive income. Public markets, that you don't care if it goes up and down and you just wait to the end, or real estate, and you hope that your real estate area doesn't get crushed. Everything else almost doesn't exist.
I'm thinking more of real estate because I've been involved in it in Sweden.
Love it.
And for all the Danish people, it's pretty like the government is very restricting on creating a real estate business. It's a lot of taxes. It's really hard if you don't have the money in the beginning.
So shouldn't you work your face off to get money, not buy dumb shit like a watch and then put it into the real estate?
Yes, I should.
Okay. Look, you know, and I think you know, and I'm happy I can see your energy. I'm so passionate about this issue. There are people that are ripping people off at the level of hundreds of millions of dollars because they're selling this dream because they made a video with pretty girls in a beach in the background.
Oh yeah, I got the whole little setup.
People spend $1,000, $2,000. It's breaking my heart. Passive income doesn't exist, and anything that starts with I don't want to work is already a problem. What you need to do is, I understand I don't want to work in an office or something I'm not passionate about, but the best way to make money is to make less money than you're making now, enough to still live, because you gotta live, around something that does interest you because you wake up 8 years later and something good is actually happening. So it's not everybody wants to make it the extreme of, I'm sitting in my job, I hate it, this sucks, all the way to beach in Mexico. But there's a real in between, which is why I wrote Crush It, which is at night, when you're done with your shit job that is paying for the life that you have to live right now, you don't take some of that money and buy dumb shit like 17 beers watching the World Cup. What you do instead is you work on something on the internet that costs you nothing to start, save all those dollars, build something for yourself over 7 years, and then transition from the shit job to your own business. That's passive.
Okay, thank you.
You can live on 6 hours sleep. So you have 18 hours. You have 18 goddamn hours. I want to know what you're doing with your 18 hours. Because you can work your 9 to 5, and that's 9, and you can travel for an hour here and there. Respect. Nice little solid commute. Oh, you want to be a family man? Mazel tov. You can spend 2 hours with your kids. What do you do with those other 5 hours? You're watching House of fucking Cards. You're playing Madden. You're relaxing from the other intense 10. Gary, I already spent 11 hours. Well, great. Then don't complain or want more. Respect that by getting rest and this and that, you were giving up opportunity to go into a new world. You want the audacity to have a 1% life. Let's call it what it is. You want to live as well as the 1 to 2% in the world. It's not very complicated. The math is very raw. Like, if you want to have one of the best lives in the world, which is you live on your terms, you have to pay your dues to get there. And you have to be lucky enough to figure out that you had talent in the thing that you actually want to do. Because you can work 24 hours a day, and if you stink at golf, or you're not a good content producer, or your logos look like the shit I would make, then you're gonna lose. So that's what you gotta do. She or he has to love the game. For me, a purebred entrepreneur, she or he loves the journey, not the stuff. You know, one of the things I struggle with in the current state of entrepreneurship is
educate, execute. So, my name is Billy Jean, and I'm the best in the world when it comes to using social media, paid advertising, to find customers for any business under the sun. There is no nobility in free traffic. My business has relied on paid traffic, and my business has relied on free traffic, and I use paid every freaking time. Because when I need customers, even if I'm in the back of a limo, I can open up my laptop, log into Facebook or YouTube, turn on an advertising campaign, and watch the customers fly in.
Top gun, right, I made a name for myself. Can't lie, doing well for my age. Dogs at the praying on my downfall. Well, then it's truths in the casket, now they souls in the grave.
Billy Jean. Billy Jean. Billy Jean.
Billy Jean. Billy Jean is marketing.
A lot of people want the vacations, the watches, you know, even the context of this, you guys have such incredible imagery. I think it's remarkable. Who doesn't want fine things in life?
Yeah.
But I think that if you're in the game just for the fine things in life, for the bottles and the models and the private planes, I think you're gonna lose. And it definitely is not my definition of an entrepreneur. My definition of an entrepreneur is somebody who can't live without doing their thing and trying to create, literally suffocated.
When I was younger, I learned, because I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, you work hard, you get a deal, you reward yourself, buy yourself a watch. What's your thoughts on that philosophy?
I think that worked for your DNA, and I respect that. You know, I don't think you get to judge what somebody does with the fruits of their labor.
Yeah.
For me, I think that that's what's amazing about anything, which is there's many different definitions. For you, you know, go out, work your face off, win, and reward yourself with something is exactly right. For me, the reward is pouring more of the dollars and energy into the company, not buying stuff for myself. It's one and the same.
Yeah.
It's one and the same. I don't judge, you know, I talk a lot about, like, stop posting cash and Lamborghinis and private jets, not because I don't think one deserves it after they work hard. It's that so many of the people on Instagram that are posting that are fronting.
100%.
I mean, they're like literally driving to a private plane pad, taking the photo, and then driving home. They're full of shit. And so, to me, I think it's amazing if somebody wants to buy an Armani suit or a $5,000 pair of belt or a diamond ring for $100,000. I don't, but that doesn't mean that's right or wrong. What I'm doing with that same $100,000 instead of a ring is I'm hiring 2 more people because I'm trying to buy the jewelry company, not a piece of the jewelry. Stop crying and just keep hustling. Hustle is the most important word ever. And that's what you need to do. You need to work so hard. Guys, we're building businesses here. This isn't about parties. We're building businesses. I used to work in a liquor store from 7 in the morning to 10 at night for 7 straight years, and the only days off I took were to watch the New York Jets. And you know what that did? It made me throw up on myself, so that wasn't a vacation. I don't want to hear about this two-job thing, right? 9 to 5, I don't have time. If you want this, if you're miserable, or if you don't like it, or you want to do something else and you have a passion somewhere else, work 9 to 5, spend a couple hours with your family. 7 to 2 in the morning is plenty of time to do damage. But that's it. It's not going to happen any other way. You're not going to make stickers and give out swag and everybody's going to give a shit about your site. I mean, you start building your equity and your brand and whatever you're trying to accomplish after hours. Everybody has time. Stop watching fucking Lost. That's a good overheard, right? That was a good overheard. So, you know what I mean? I mean, if you want this, if you want bling bling, if you want to buy the jets, if you want to do shit, work. That's how you get it.
Now my son lives with his mom. Alright, now kids in the house.
You know, actually, how many people in this room are immigrants or children of immigrants? Please raise your hand. Just curious. So for the hands that are in this room, they know something that I know, which is immigrants have an amazing advantage. They have a very tried and true strategy that we could all learn from. What immigrants are very good at doing is when they come to a new country, they work and they don't spend any money on dumb shit for 10 years. And so that's what my parents did. And eventually my dad was able to buy a small liquor store in New Jersey. I was a very entrepreneurial kid. I was day trading attention from a young age. I had 6 lemonade stands when I was 7 years old, and I would spend all my time trying to figure out what tree and what pole to put the signs on because I was watching people drive and trying to figure out what signs. I was a very sick child. When I was 12 and 13, I was selling baseball cards, which were very popular in the United States at the time, and I was making $1,000 to $2,000 a weekend selling them in the malls of New Jersey, which was great, and I was rich for a young kid, and it was fantastic. But then my career changed. My dad dragged me into the liquor store, and I hated it at first, but luckily I realized that people collected wine. I was into collecting.
No, my son comes and stay with me for the summer. He just didn't come this summer, that's all. It's all good. It be like that sometimes. Yeah, but he's normally here when he doesn't have school.
Sports memorabilia. That was my passion. That was the connection. And I decided that I was going to jump into my family business, open up 4,000 liquor stores across America, sell the franchise one day, and buy the New York Jets American football team, because that is my dream. You two stand up. You two stand up. Let's clap it up for these guys. In 1994, I was in my dorm room in college. My friend came over to me, and I want to start wrapping this up and getting it to what matters to you. He brought me into a room. It was the first time I heard coo-cooch, which was the internet. I was very excited about it. I didn't know what it was. I said something stupid like, is this the information superhighway? I looked at it. This is, there's a lot of youngsters in here. This was 1994. I literally stood there and watched people on the internet for 5 hours. It was that crazy. It was just that insane. It was so new. And when I finally had my turn to go on there, when I finally had my turn to go on there, within 20 minutes, I landed on a message board where people were trading and buying in cards, baseball cards, and I realized, my God, I can do business on this thing. And over the next year, I went headfirst and learned about eBay, learned about what was going on in Amazon, started learning the early internet culture, and in 1996, I launched WineLibrary.com, one of the first 2 e-commerce wine businesses in America. From 1998 to 2003, in a 5-year window, I grew my dad's business from a $3 to a $60 million business on very, very important terms that mattered to this entire room. I had no money. It was a $3 million business that had 10% gross profit, $300,000 before expenses. There was no marketing budget. What I needed is to make every penny work like a dollar. So the strategy became day trading attention. When you day trade attention, my friends, here's what you do. You don't overspend on what everybody believes is tried and true. Every single company in this gorgeous conference right now is grossly overspending money on things that they've been doing for the last decade because it's the things that they accept, or the reporting justifies it, or they're just lazy to try something new. Everyone. And so what you do when you day trade attention is you have to find angles. What's underpriced? How many people here do email marketing or have done email marketing in their lives? Raise your hands. Perfect, a lot of you. In 1997, I started an email newsletter. Most people that came into my liquor store didn't even know what email was in 1997. I collected, and in 1998, I had a 200,000 person email newsletter with 91% open rates. Now, it's not because I was a genius, and I know a lot of you sit here just like I do with emails that are 13 to 23% open rates today. It's that in 1997, nobody was emailing. We hadn't ruined it yet. One thing I promise you, more than I know that the sun will come up tomorrow, I know that marketers ruin everything. We ruin the internet. I'm trying to ruin Snapchat and Musical.ly right now. We ruin shit. It's what we do. So it was 91% open rates there. Then Google AdWords came out. I bought the word wine on Google AdWords for 5 cents a click and owned it for 9 months before anybody bid me up. Because people were still on Yahoo and Ask Jeeves and other shit like that. And so that became the rinse and repeat. As I think about B2B players in this environment, it is stunning to me how many B2B businesses here do not understand that producing articles on Medium.com, on LinkedIn, writing full content on Facebook in your feed, and then spending $100 in ads against employees of the company that you're trying to reach. Let me say that 3 more times, because the one thing I promised myself as I boarded last night in New York to get here is, I'm going to give my talk, but I'm going to give every single person in this audience one thing to take home, do, and then email it and say thank you. So let me say it really slow. Right now, on this day, October 6th, right? Is that right? October 6th, 2016, the #1 deal, if you day trade attention like I do, in this market is Facebook ads. They are underpriced. They are underpriced because a lot of people in this room still debate what the ROI is, or even worse, they're emotional that Facebook organic reach has come down and now they have to pay for it. While you're emotional and sad that you don't reach as many things, the best ad product that I've seen since Google AdWords has emerged. Or even worse than both of those two scenarios, you haven't even done it yet. You've decided for your business, your customer is not on that platform, yet you've never spent $1 testing it to know if that's true or not. You've read a headline, you had a friend tell you, but you actually don't do it, and you're not sure. We live in a world right now of headline readers. Everybody here has a lot of opinions about Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and influencer and LinkedIn and Medium, but there's very few practitioners. There's very few people that have actually placed the ads. There are very few people that understand that the creative is the variable when you place an ad, and just because you did it once doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It might mean that the creative, the video and the picture that you put out just sucked. And so, as I go through all the other things, just in the middle here for a few minutes, I just want to tell you exactly what I know. What I know is I'm involved with 15 different B2B businesses right now. GE is a client, AT&T is a client, but many startups that I invest in, because I also in my mid-2000s started investing in Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Uber. I've done very well in that world. I basically just told you that to brag. That had no information value. But what I know about these B2B businesses is right now, every single person here can write an article about their expertise in the business that they're in. Not a propaganda for your SaaS product or service, but an article that would be valuable to the people that you're trying to reach. You can write this article literally in a Facebook post. Literally in a Facebook post. And then you can go to the ad product and you can actually target employees of. One of the ways you can target on Facebook is the employees of an organization. How many people here are in B2B? Raise your hand. Higher. Go high for me, Helsinki. Higher again. Show me again. I need to look. High. Perfect. A shitload. A lot of you. All of you need to hear this. This is the remarkable era of underpriced opportunity in digital and social marketing, yet I'm empathetic to why most of you do not believe that. I get it. Most of the advice, most of the conferences, most of the articles position this in a B2C environment. I know, for example, the following, that if I was to buy one of your companies, the number one thing I would do is the following. Every one of you are in an industry where there is a B2B magazine that is the number one thing that the people in your market read. If you were a company trying to reach customers, I would become that magazine. Let me explain. The other religious point of view that this room needs to take away from this talk, this weekend, or at some point you will believe this is true, whether it is today, or 12 or 24 months from now, 36 months from now, is the following. The quicker everybody in this room understands that they are a media company, comma, software company, comma, wine retailer, comma, lawyer, comma, account service provider, the quicker everybody in this room understands that they are a media company, comma, those things, the quicker you will be successful. I will tell you why. You told me that earlier they said the ad was dead. You said the ad is got to be creative and good, give it to the creatives. I believe more in your world, and I'll just add to it. The ad has to bring value. The number one thing that is happening in society in every part of the world is the following. We as human beings, no matter where we're from, we value health. We want to stay alive, and the people, money. You like money. But the number one emerging thing in society, in value, is time. Time is exploding in value to us because we all now live in a 24/7, 365 world. Some of the old timers in this room, remember when the workday ended and it just ended? It wasn't getting emails at night, people expecting you to reply. We now live in a 24/7 world. As a matter of fact, one of the great mistakes of my investing career is Travis Kalanick, the CEO of Uber, was a very great friend of mine. I passed on investing in Uber in the angel round twice. I cost myself hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm very upset about it. But I invested a little bit later on, not because Uber was doing so well, but because I realized when he came to New York and my brother AJ took the first Uber ride, oh my God, Uber doesn't sell transportation, Uber sells time. We don't care about privacy, we care about time. This is who we are as humans. And what advertising is doing in the last 50 years is it's stopping you from doing what you want to do, and it's selling you something, which means by nature it is stealing your time. Which is why the second you decide that you're a media company and you actually want to bring people value instead of selling them something, you win. If you run home now and misunderstood what I said, which is why I'm creating clarity right now for you, if you leave here and misunderstood what I said, you will go home, you will make a Facebook post, and you will write a propaganda or sales post, and you will push it, and it will not be successful. If you heard me loud and clear and understand who you're trying to reach, and you write an article about something that brings them value, you will win. For example, a small business in the United States that heard this talk 3 years ago from me started writing content about golf. They were a law firm, but what they understood was the people they were trying to reach were into golf. And they started writing content about golf and used that content as a gateway drug to close the clients. Because people don't want to read your sales pitch. They don't have time. People want to read something that brings value. And the interesting thing about so many of you in the B2B environment is you're actually an expert or knowledgeable about your craft. You actually know. And so putting that content to work is massively important. It was super important for me 6-7 years ago. That was nothing compared to the ability of going and now targeting the employees of the organization that you're trying to reach. For example, if you're trying to reach the CTO or the CIO, or if you actually know the title of the person you're trying to reach, you are able to make a video on Facebook that shows the value prop of your product. You are able to then in the copy say, does your CIO know? You are able to then run $100 worth of ads against the employees of that organization, and then 20 people from that organization are going to take that post and forward it to the CIO, the CTO, the head of finance, or whoever you're trying to reach. My friends, I've spent the last 7 minutes here on this rant, and I understand it's very tactical and it's not motivational and funny, but I fucking promise you that if you really understand what I'm talking about, you will do what you actually care to do, which is sell shit, right? We're running businesses here. So please, please understand that. Because once you understand what I just spent my time on, how that works, you'll start understanding why every company here needs to hire an editor-in-chief. An editor-in-chief for your SaaS business, your law firm. An editor-in-chief, it's crazy. It's not something any of you would think. And I understand why. But you have to understand the playing field is changing. Hello, Hong Kong. Thanks for hanging around. I will try to deliver. So one thing I've been thinking a lot about as I've been spending time walking the conference hall and spending the day today in Hong Kong is just the diversity in the audience of where we come from, what we're trying to achieve. And I gave a lot of thought to what do I really want to deliver in this keynote? How do I bring value? I think one of the things that, when I think about products or services, and definitely when I speak or create content, how do you bring value? Like, what's the trade here? I'm getting your attention. I want to bring you value in return. And the thing that really stands out for me is the one thing that I'm confident in, the one thing that I'm absolutely confident in is what attaches all of us. What is the one common theme, whether you're a startup, whether you're a professional, whether you're a student, solo entrepreneur, large company, starting tomorrow? What is the one thing that guarantees a connection point that we can all agree on and get value out of the framework that I create here? And I think that comes down to one simple thing, that no matter what you're doing in this room, whether you're trying to raise money for a nonprofit, or you're trying to sell a fintech product, or trying to raise capital for what you're trying to achieve, the one thing that we all trade on in this room is attention. If you are not sitting and debating on an everyday basis on how you, as a human or as a company, act like a modern day media publisher, how you communicate, whether in written, audio, or video form, and then which platforms are underpriced and overpriced, you're basically missing the punchline. It doesn't matter how good, bad, or indifferent your product or service is. If nobody knows about it, you are vulnerable. And the thing that I'm curious about is where everybody in this room is on their life cycle. Because if you've had success for 3 or 4 years, you might have fallen in love with what got you here. The biggest concern I have, and I see some heads nodding already, is what got you here today is always the thing that's not going to get you to tomorrow. For example, for me, if you asked me today, what am I most paying attention to? Where do I see the next arbitrage? It's absolutely around audio. I'm obsessed with with what's going in the US market, not only around podcasts, and this is global, but especially around what's going on with Alexa from Amazon, Google Home, and the future Apple HomePod. The one thing I promise you is that every single person here, besides the health and well-being of their family and money, values time. And time is emerging very quickly. If you take a look, and this is extremely prevalent through the Asian market, European market, South American market, US market, time's value is exceeding on an everyday basis. As we become more busy, we start valuing time tremendously. That is what Uber and other transportation apps have traded on. It's saving you time. Even the perception of time is a good business model. But the thing that I think I'm very fascinated by is how much sound and audio will be selling back to you time founded that you used to not have. When you watch a video, which I think we can all agree, video content is scaling in importance and is absolutely in the prime of its medium right now. When you're looking at video, it is taking up your time. Audio is incredibly passive. And so the thing that I'm trying to force down energy-wise in this keynote is the following. Number one, no matter what you do for a living, you need to think of yourself as a media company, your company. If you were a SaaS tech, you were a media company, comma, SaaS tech. If you were a consumer social network, you were a media company, comma, social network. If you're a human being, you're a media company, comma, human being. When you wrap your head around that, you start understanding what you should be doing, which is, in your natural way, producing stories for people to consume to bring awareness to what you do. So one, if you are not taking this opportunity for what it is, you've already put yourself in second place. This is the moment. Number two, entrepreneurship got popular, and that means it's dangerous, because there's a lot of people that raise their hands that have entrepreneurial tendencies and aren't necessarily entrepreneurs. Just because you say you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean you're a successful entrepreneur. And the reason I bring that up is not to be like, I'm cool, you're not, or anything of that nature. There's just one very important thing that is not being discussed enough. We talk about working smart and having the right strategy and having the right product. I'm stunned by how much pushback there is when I talk about working hard. There is zero people you know that have built a successful business without working their face off. There are people that have inherited money. There are people that have had that dynamic, but you know nobody, nor does the world, that has started from zero and built something substantial that hasn't put in a disproportional amount of work to get there. It is the one utterly controllable aspect of our game, and if you really want this, please really start thinking about maximizing every minute. That doesn't mean neglecting your family. That doesn't mean neglecting your health. But I am stunned, as somebody who's spending an enormous amount of time in this ecosystem, by how many people have the ambition and their mouth is running to what they're going to accomplish and their actions don't map to it at all.
Hope everybody's ready for this session, because I am. Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great.
Hello, Hong Kong. Hello, Hong Kong.
So basically, we're talking about, when you have fears, you just don't give a shit about it. Just go for it.
Listen, I'm petrified of my mother's health. Like, petrified. So I have fear. I just think life's about alternatives. Life's like, I don't give a shit when people talk to me about theory. It's just binary. Like, when your spouse gets terminally ill, theory doesn't matter. You have to navigate. When you lose your biggest client that how many people here have businesses that have very large clients that represent big portions of their business? Raise your hand. How many people here have a client that represents more than 50% of their business? Raise your hand. I mean, that's fucking scary for these 11 people. Like, their businesses suck. Like, they need to, like, one more time for the 11 of you, I want to give you a piece of advice. You need to, like, tomorrow, like, you should leave this talk right now, leave, and start getting other customers, because that's scary. Like, who wants to be that vulnerable to something that they don't control? You know, so for me, like, there's just things that you can't control. If the 11 of them lose that client tomorrow because the decision maker that is their client goes to a different company and the new one doesn't like them, or has a sister that has a similar business, they're in panic mode. They've got to adjust. And so, you know how many people here's businesses rely on somebody that is not them? It is scary how many people's businesses here that the most important person to the business is not them. That it's a salesperson, that it's a technical lead co-founder, it's somebody else. That is scary. And so there's a lot of things we don't control when we build our businesses. The market, don't even, listen, I'm a boy that's born in Soviet Russia. You start thinking about markets where you have to be nice with the families that run the country, fuck. Right? There's a lot of things we don't talk about that make it scary, which is why I don't like the current state of entrepreneurship in the world, because it seems very party and popular and cool, and it is literally everything but. I started my daily vlog. Yes, I like attention and I want selfies, but much more because I want people to see how hard it really is, how long every day is, if you really want to be successful. And so I'm scared of everything, which actually ironically means I'm scared of nothing.
Right. That
Do you
is-
understand?
Yeah, I got
It's
what
like,
you mean.
got it? I know it's a funny little statement, but by accepting fear of everything, it kind of makes me numb and makes me not fear of anything.
Anything, yeah.
What is your advice for young entrepreneurs in college that are trying to start businesses and run them themselves?
Quit college.
Quit college.
I'm probably, if you're actually an entrepreneur, yes. Because I promise you, college is doing you zero for entrepreneurship. You cannot teach entrepreneurship in a college environment because it is an unbelievable reality of like, you have to navigate it to know what to do. Are you collecting debt?
No.
Okay, good. Well then you just have to decide, you know, look, what I would tell you to do is, you know what I would tell you? If you were my brother, if you were AJ, I would say, you've got to make a decision. Either you realize that these are the last couple years that you could really, really, really enjoy and not do shit and enjoy them. Or you could put all your energy into your business and let your grades go to shit and either get kicked out or let them push you through the system. If you know, you have to also understand, my definition of an entrepreneur is a little bit different than I think a lot of people's. My definition of an entrepreneur is you can't breathe other than when you're running your business.
Hello, it's me again, Evram. I'd like to thank you so much. First of all, I've been watching your talks, your videos a lot in the morning because my mom never supported me, and I had to hear and watch somebody that will give me this push, and thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it.
I will tell you, and I apologize for cutting you off, I was so supported by my mom to be an entrepreneur, and I want to remind people, and this is a great crowd to understand me, I was an immigrant. If you're an immigrant, or you come from immigrant parents, education is the way out. Every Russian, Jewish boy and girl that came from the Soviet Union with my parents was getting straight A's on their way to Harvard. I was getting straight F's. So for my mom to have the self-esteem to not care what the other parents thought, to let me do my thing, it was such a gift that I now produce content on a daily basis because I feel guilty that I had it so good and I want to provide that for you guys. That is why I do it. And so I think the biggest thing that you need to understand is the best product will always win if people know about it, right? And so I think the thing that I spend a lot of time on is I'm a marketer. I like to market. I understand marketing. I'm a business builder. I built businesses. I think there's an incredible, interesting kind of graph between the quality of your product and how many people know about it. So for example, if you're a great marketer and you listen to everything that I say and you get a lot of attention and your business isn't working, a lot of times it happens to do with your product sucking. You know, like we don't spend enough time talking about the product or service you're selling, you know? So please, if you're sitting in the audience and you're looking for the magic pill, or if you think that you're going to be able to siphon some information that's going to allow you to play in the edges of the arbitrage of opportunity, please make sure you're looking at your product and service to make sure it delivers. Because if you follow my blueprint, if you get results from my ideas that you then become an executor of, if your product sucks, all that I'm going to do is expose your product faster and you're going to go out of business faster. So please start there. But after that, please understand the following. This is a golden era of marketing for one simple reason. The places where our attention and our consumers' attention are now driven by marketplace bidding dynamics, not by writing an upfront check to get the ads. Please understand this. Please understand that the biggest difference for us as communicators is we don't need millions of dollars to do television and print and outdoor and direct mail to hit mass. We are trading on marketplaces, Google, Facebook, Snapchat.
Yo,
These are
Dan,
biddable
Dan.
marketplaces.
Y'all killed them
The
with that.
reason this is the best time is because these marketplaces are underpriced.
Yo, sometimes they cut my videos or edit out the sound, but I gotta go back. I do gotta go back and look at that stream from yesterday and see if that Dan and Danny is still up there.
Those marketplaces are underpriced right now because the biggest companies in the world are not spending enough money on them. You have to understand, when there's a come to Jesus moment and the biggest brands in the world properly spend in everything that I talk about, everything I talk about becomes null and void. We are ridiculously lucky because we get to navigate through this time. For anybody over 30, and especially if you're over 40, you really recognize that, because for over 40 crowd here, we lived pre-internet in a lot of ways. The scale is remarkable, the impact is high, the upside's enormous, and to be very honest, I think most of us are just taking it for granted. I don't think we understand the impact of how much the opportunity is real. And for me, it becomes disproportionately compounded because you're actually at this conference. You're actually part of a very small, interesting group for me, which is I know how big the opportunity is. I know that 99% of people have no idea it's happening. You do. So you're part of 1% of the whole thing that understands it's happening. Now it's yours to lose. I would argue that if you are not able to achieve what you want to achieve in life and you're at this conference during this time, then you really misexecuted. Then you really got into the things that I worry about when I put out content, which is you worry way too much about stuff that does not matter. That you're worried way too much about other people's opinions, which is the biggest reason you don't take chances, because you worry about how people judge your failures. Then you're doing a lot of other things that are leading to huge levels of missed shots and missed opportunities. And so that's why I speak so much about being insular, having the right intent, because literally, fundamentally, if you synthesize everything I've just said, non-action is the fundamental reason that most of you will fail. At this point, being in this room, at this conference, during this time, and understanding quite a bit of what's actually happening. Non-action, which if you take all the way to the seed of a human being, is insecurity, which is probably the biggest reason that I create content, because I hope that you use me
Jam Master Jay got shot and killed. Pac got shot and killed. Biggie got shot and killed. X just got shot and killed. It's a shame. But the greatest shame is, what about all of the young men and women who are not celebrities getting shot and killed? Imagine if the same way we advertise X and advertise Jay's death and Biggie's death, imagine what would happen if we started advertising every young person getting shot and killed. Then it would be outrage. My fight isn't with the dude that shot Jam Master Jay in the head. I have no personal beef with him. My fight is against the mentality that would cause him to do it. Pac got shot, hip-hop mourns for 2-3 weeks, and then we go back doing the same bullshit, same ideas, concepts, and images, like having a gun is cool, not changing the conditions that killed Pac. So, of course, 2 weeks later, another motherfucker's going down and Biggie's going down. And we do the same thing. We make tribute records and we talk and he's a legend and that. The thing is, when the first shooting happened, let's do something so that it doesn't happen again. Why having a gun and shooting motherfuckers is cool? That's a hip-hop mentality with it, because I'm from the hood, this and that. No. We created hip-hop so we didn't need street gangs and drug dealers. That excuse is Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Willis, and they make violent action films. So my thing to anybody in hip-hop saying it's acceptable because it's entertainment, no, it's different. If you're going to use that excuse, then get the fuck off the mic and go be an actor. Hip-hop has a responsibility no matter what generation we're from, you come, now, past, present, and future. You can tell a story about gangs and drug dealing and stuff like that. But the very next record on your album is a record about not using a gun. Y'all motherfuckers can make whatever y'all want. For me, it's fucking homicide and genocide. People are killing each other. When I came out and said, with the same attitude that a rapper would talk about selling drugs, I'm DMC, and the place to be, I go to St. John's University. Since kindergarten, I acquired the knowledge. After 12th grade, I went straight to college. I didn't preach. I didn't say you're wrong for being in the gang and using a gun. But the guys that was in the gang and using guns was like, oh shit. DMC, one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet, said he go to St. John's University and education is cool. And I had kids come and tell me, yo, when you said that rhyme, D, just for you saying it, you made me realize that I don't need a gun. I don't need to sell drugs. I went and got my GED. Okay, now I got a GED because DMC said education is cool. But you made me realize you can be educated, safe, and not sell drugs and be in a gang and still get money. Hip-hop came along because we was killing each other, shooting each other, and having gang fights. And the Zulu Nation said, come on, fuckers gotta stop killing each other. And people was like, so what the hell are we gonna do? Hip-hop said, what can you do? All of the possibilities and all of the things to make the necessary changes is right at our fingertips, but nobody is utilizing. I don't hate on this generation's hip-hop, but we gotta create hip-hop all over again. People ask me, what do you think about today's hip-hop? I said, disco. I remember I was a little kid, disco was huge. One morning when I was little, I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning, and all over the world and the globe, disco sucks. Everybody was saying the disco sucks. It wasn't the artists and the music that sucks. It was the fucking lifestyle. If you look at hip hop right now, purple fur coats, diamonds, champagne, Rolls Royces, Bentleys, fucking Learjets, sex, violence, everybody's living their life. So what happened when that happened in New York City in the 70s? The very thing that happened
Damn, it's only 9 o'clock.
Is what disco did, and motherfucker named Melly Mel came out and made a record, The Message. Right now, we need a 17 to 19-year-old individual to make The Message. To shut down all the nonsense that we're celebrating. Drinking lean and this and that. You can get high, you can go to the party, but what about making sure everybody's eating? That's what hip-hop did. Hollywood was coming to New York to party at Studio 54 with their Bentleys and their Rolls Royces and their fur coats and their champagne and their reefer and their heroin, and they was having fucking sex everywhere with the glitter balls. Look at disco in the 70s and look at hip hop. Motherfuckers was dressing crazy and this and that. So it took some young boys and girls who weren't politicians, and this motherfucker stepped to the mic and said, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under. Don't push me. Right now, motherfuckers is close to the edge. Trump is bugging out. Hip-hop is just totally gone insane. Right now, hip-hop is just fun. They announced hip-hop is the #1 music that's overtaken rock. Why did they make that announcement at the time when hip-hop is at its most disrespectful and ignorant? It's always been #1, but why didn't they make that announcement when Public Enemy was killing? Why didn't they make that announcement when okay, yeah, because there's more downloads and streaming and stuff like that. There's more people listening to hip hop at the most fucking stupid, ignorant time in its history. You should have said that 50 years ago when it was competing with rock. I opened for ZZ Top. We opened for The Clash. Why didn't you announce it then? Why? Because we were clean and we didn't curse and it wasn't about sex and shooting? But it's a problem when you say it's popular now because motherfuckers are shooting, killing, X, and taking Xanax and all of that. Don't announce that shit. Play some fucking record.
That shit like an onion almost. Bringing goddamn tears to my eyes just smelling that shit.
We created hip hop. 45
God
years
damn.
ago, things started to change. The powers that be started to notice something. We need groups that look like Migos, rapping like De La Soul. We need a guy that looks like Lil Wayne, talking like KRS-One. We need a guy like Drake making records like Chuck D, a Public Enemy doing. I'm not talking about to sell records and be #1 rappers, to see change in the everyday lives of our people. Somebody said 10 years ago, if aliens came to Earth and looked at hip-hop in the last 15, 20 years, they wouldn't know what was going on. But prior to 15, 20 years, every time there was an issue in our community, in our music, in society, that very week a rapper would make a record about it. Look at what's been going on globally in the world. Look at what's been going on in America. We went through 2 Gulf Wars, all the crime in the streets, all the shootings, the police shooting kids, the white police shooting kids, kids shooting kids, the disrespect of our women. It's fucked up politically with Trump, the educational sucks. They're taking all the necessary programs that work out at all the communities, and nobody's talking about it. Not just the rappers, none of the rock stars, or none of the pop stars are addressing the issue. There was a time where as soon as something happened in media that was happening historically, we all jumped on it. Now this current generation sits back because they think it's not cool to talk about doing something right. These kids now get more attention if they talk about their Xanax problem and how much lean and codeine they take. Run DMC smoked more weed than God could possibly grow on this green earth. We never put those images and concepts on our records. I drank more liquor than the earth could produce. I was sending in orders before they could even make it in the distillery. I was going directly to God, send me my liquor now. But I never put those images, concepts on the record. Why? Because if Run DMC can make a record about these, and the whole world to this day want to know it, what's going to happen if I rhyme about codeine and smoking ain't do good? See, that's the problem. It's not a cry for help. It's a lack of responsibility. Listen to hip-hop radio. All the fucking records are just out codeine and Xanax. There's not one rapper on here rapping, I never got high a day in my life. We need dudes in hip-hop that don't get high. We need dudes in hip-hop that in the street game. We need to overflood hip-hop with Kendrick Lamar and Chance.
Kendrick Lamar and Chance the Rapper.
Got me lacking at the gas station, huh? Well, let me tell you, today, we're driving all the way down to Long Beach. This kid named Stu.
Today got shot and killed. Pac got shot and killed. Biggie got shot and killed. X just got shot and killed. It's a shame. But the greatest shame is, what about all of the young men and women who are not celebrities getting shot and killed? Imagine if the same way we advertise X and advertise Jay's death and Biggie's death, imagine what would happen if we started advertising every young person getting shot and killed. Then it would be outrage. My fight isn't with the dude that shot Jam Master Jay in the head. I have no
What's up, Beto? So, brother.
What's up, guys? My bad. I was trying to find this video real quick.
Ancient Aliens is an American television series which premiered on April 20th, 2010 on the History Channel. The program presents the so-called ancient astronaut theory, which is the idea that extraterrestrials visited the Earth in the ancient past, and that historical texts, archaeological records, and various legends contain evidence of this contact. I used to believe that the ancient astronaut theory was true. I spent years learning about it from the popular authors, from video presentations and radio shows. I was an enthusiastic promoter of this idea to my friends and family. Although I no longer feel that way, I want you to know that I have no personal reasons to reject this theory. My current worldview could easily accommodate the existence of extraterrestrials. I hope you will come away from this film, even if you disagree with it, saying that I fairly reviewed the claims of ancient aliens without bias and with respect. I hope to show you that this is not a matter of ancient aliens getting a few details wrong here and there, and their main premise remaining true. That is not an option in my opinion. I hope to demonstrate to you that they are wrong not on some, but on every single point where they assert an ancient astronaut theory to explain evidence, and that often they are using deceptive means to do this, and sometimes even fabricating evidence to make their points, as we will see. I would also like the viewer to know that unlike many skeptics of the ancient astronaut theory, I actually concede that something out of the ordinary could have occurred in the ancient past, and that there are certain consistent themes in ancient mythologies and the like that require good explanations. But I think you will quickly see that the ancient astronaut theories do not explain this evidence. You will notice a number that appears periodically on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen throughout this film. This number will appear when I am making a claim that requires a reference in order to back it up, and it will correspond to a number on the companion website ancientaliensdebunked.com. This film is divided into 3 main sections, and each topic can be viewed independently at the website if you choose. I will occasionally be joined by commentary from Dr. Michael Heiser, one of the few actual scholars who has been willing to interact with the ancient astronaut theory. Dr. Heiser has been one of the most articulate proponents of the skeptical viewpoint of this theory, and has written papers and books, as well as almost a dozen websites on the issues we will be covering in this film. We are happy to have him as a part of this film, and we're happy to have you, the viewer, here as well. I encourage...
Host James, and I am delighted to be doing a megalithic show today. I've got my 3 friends on the call. I have Mr. Brian Forster, I have Hugh Newman, and I have Andrew Collins, all titans in the field of megalithic research and others as well. And we're going to get the latest updates from the guys. So let me just bring the guys in one at a time, I guess. Hi, Brian. You're very welcome to the show.
Hey, what up, guys? So
thank you very much, James.
I don't know. It's my counter says there's only 1 person in here. How many people are in here? Everybody send a message real quick if you're still in here. It says it's only got 1 viewer right now, but I'm gonna ask a question. Yo, Puffy Cloud's still here. Puff my clouds. All right, who else is still in here? I want to ask you guys a question. Y'all know I be on this shit all the fucking time. The same fucking shit. I can't get over this stuff though. It really, really fascinates me. Alright.
That's enough. Two's company, three's of the crowd. So we got a crowd of people. So when you see a stone that big and it's cut into a rectangular shape, who do you think did that? And what did they use? It's something about these fucking megalithic structures that, like many hundreds of thousands of people, just like this whole group of people there, this shit fascinates. Look how big this rock is, and somebody did that. That's not natural. And there's like these weird ass fucking structures all over the world. Who the fuck did that? How do you think you believe in Ra? Okay.
To hear you back again, Brian. We have Hugh Newman on the call. Hello, Hugh, can you give me your voice read, please?
I'm here for you, James.
Oh, great to hear you, brother. We will be seeing each other in Megalithomania. We're going to get into that as well a little bit on the show. Can't wait to see you soon for a TV interview as well, Hugh. I'm going to nail you down for a TV interview.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. And we have Andrew Collins back on the show as well. Andrew, are you there?
Yes, I'm fine, yes. Happy to be back. Lots of things happening, so raring to go.
Oh, excellent. Well, we'll keep the rotation for the audience and... wow, Brian, what's new with you? Where do I go? We got DNA analysis to talk about, Lebanon, Baalbek. Let's jump straight into some megalithic stuff first, I guess, Brian. How did you get on in Lebanon? Tell me about Baalbek, a place I've always longed to go.
Now that's what I'm saying. Yo, this is one block. That shit. Like right where that fucking shrub sticks out right here. That's the end of that block right there. From here all the way to here. That shit right there is one piece of rock. And you see it has like these little lines on it. There's grooves that go like this way in a circular motion. When you look at them shits close, it has grooves on it, yo. Motherfuckers ain't, bruh, ain't nobody do that shit with no fucking stone tools and no goddamn bronze tools and then move that shit like that, yo. And then move that shit. Not just one, but they made walls and temples out of shit like that. How? Nobody fucking knows. So I just watch these documentaries over and over and over of people telling me that they don't know. Even if you use the wedge method and you bore holes or chisel holes, insert wedges, and pound the wedges down to split the rock. You've never broken a rock before? Like, you never seen a rock shatter? When you split it, it's gonna have a jagged edge, but it's not gonna be concentric, organized grooves like somebody's churning something against it or grinding something against it. Rocks don't fracture like that. Rocks fracture in smooth, jagged breaks, not in a groove pattern. A pattern. You're not gonna get a pattern when you separate. Or I don't give a fuck how you separate that shit. Split it, chisel it, motherfucking blow it apart. Like, you're not gonna get a pattern of grooves. It's the weirdest fucking shit, dude. I gotta go see these shits in person, man. Word up. We go to Peru. Go to Peru for the weekend. Go walk on them shits, yo. Them shits older than the goddamn pyramids, probably. And then there's always like these fucking knobs on these ancient fucking structures, like these big ass rocks. It'd be like the rock would be smooth as shit, and then it'd be like a knob, and it's a part of the rock, like a little nipple, like sticking out. And all of them don't have it, but like certain stones have like this little nipple sticking off of it. Like, what the fuck was that for? Dude, I don't know.
Who was here 20,000 years ago to build complex structures on the continent of Antarctica?
If the pre
Megalithic enigmas of Baalbek, Lebanon.
The transition between manageable and these, which are huge.
Smaller pieces help them. The pressure, reduce the pressure from the big one. Yes, exactly.
Now this column is polished so smooth and so round, and this curved transition between the curve and the flat is so amazing. It's highly unlikely that this could be done with hand tools, because any sculptor, no matter how good they are, would tend to make a mistake of a dip or a bump. And even after thousands of years, there are no dips and bumps. And this edge, what's left of it, is very sharp. That gives us very strong evidence of the possibility of ancient machining technology. And now we're going to get Stephen Mailer's opinion about the finish on this piece of syenite.
Syenite granite, obviously from Aswan. There are no granite quarries in all of Lebanon. And here's a perfect, smooth polish still on the stone, just like we see at Aswan.
Yeah.
And this is obviously from ancient Kemet.
And it's obviously, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to do that by hand, because your hand is feeling that that would be a perfect circle.
Perfect radius, too, great arc radius, so it has to be machined.
Now, the Greeks and the Romans were able to do very beautiful work, as we can see here. You see that carving? Gorgeous. But in general, they were only able to do that kind of work in either limestone or alabaster. When it comes to a material as hard as granite or syenite, which is what many of these columns are, the hardness of the stone, because of the crystal content and other minerals, is about 7 on what's called the Mohs scale, with the greatest or hardest stone that we know of being diamond at 10. So it's highly unlikely that they were capable of doing this fine, yet perfectly smooth surfaces in the granite or syenite. And the later cultures also were not able very well to work with that material, so we're left with no choice but to look at the idea that an even older culture was here that had forms of technology not available to the Greeks, the Romans, or indeed the dynastic Egyptians. And it's like in Peru and Egypt, we see obvious evidence of lost ancient high technology at work in a very hard stone. So a site like this at Baalbek, you really have to decode it. It is so huge and so ends of some kind, lost ancient.
But that's the thing, though. Like,
where did we come from? How did we come to be in this world?
When you say machines, now was it hand tools or electric machines?
Of Ollantaytambo at the northern end of the Sacred Valley of Peru. In this video,
is a purely Inca construction. And this is an Inca building. However, this lintel was recycled from the older megalithic structures, and that lintel and that lintel. You see, the rest of the construction is quite crude. The Inca were masters at the movement of water, and that's why their agricultural expertise was so incredibly advanced, much more so than Europe at the time. And as we see this other water feature that runs 365 days a year, it's actually a stream created by the Inca, and its origin is one of the Andes snow-capped mountains. So the water is freezing cold even after all of this distance from that mountain. We're coming up to a fountain that the Inca altered. The original fountain itself, here you see again the Inca construction, then the superior older work, the Inca put the channel in the top of it, and more Inca work. Again, freezing cold water coming down from one of the Andes, quite possibly the Andes mountain called Chicón. And then as we walk across this tiny bridge and up these Inca period steps to the massive agricultural terracing system constructed by the great Inca civilization.
This is Peru, right?
Empire, it was a confederation of states. Is unknown. They did do is they cut this little channel there so that during winter solstice a shadow is cast into that. And so here we see an Inca wall and a much older megalithic work. Some say this is a quarry of some kind, but the stone taken from there has not been found.
You see, that's the difference between.
We see megalithic.
That's the difference between the old builders and the ones that came after the old builders. The Incas used like small, manageable stonework right beside these giant ass motherfucking stones. It's two different cultures, two different civilizations, and two extremely different time periods where the older civilization was able to cut larger stones and quarry and carry larger stones a greater distance. But when they left, the people who came back and found all these sites tried to rebuild it, but they could only rebuild it with smaller, more manageable stones. And that's what I always say, like, why wasn't it done that way the first time? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, okay, we want to rebuild this shit. Let's do it easy. Let's make it easy for us to rebuild it. What's easy to do? Oh, we want a wall here? Okay, well, let's get a bunch of little stones so, you know, everybody can pitch in and help out and build a wall. But no, these first motherfuckers did that shit. Like, that's so hard. Like, why did you do it that way? Why did you make it hard like that when you could have just did it like these guys did it, with small stones and gravel mortar and shit? But no, you want to make shit super fucking big. And that's the thing, like, the people who preceded us were much fucking smarter. They were much smarter.
That have been arranged in recent times, original location likely from this area. We are approaching what is called the Temple of the Condor.
What up, man? What up, yo?
Again, Inca wall on the left, but then these finely hewn.
Now look at the difference, and just like
a much older construction.
Look how it dramatically changed.
Again,
Small
Inca Wall
blocks.
on the left, but then what is called the Temple of the Condor. Again, Inca Wall on the left.
And it's so obvious that's not the same people doing that. Whoever built this wall did not build these, did not cut these right here.
But then these finely hewn blocks are from a much older construction. It appears that there was catastrophic damage here
I'm down with that,
sometime.
bro.
It's
I'm
not
on.
that
I'll
these
probably only
Spanish
be here
came
for
and
another
took it
little minute
apart,
anyway.
but it looks like it literally was hit by a cataclysmic event. Some aspects of the wall or walls are still intact, and other parts are here in no particular order. And this staircase, constructed out of older blocks from the megalithic period, and the Inca construction with a lintel, again, from a megalithic structure.
And look, this the thing, yo, like,
Construction with some aspects of the wall or walls are still intact, but then other part, but it looks like it literally was hit by a cataclysmic event.
all right, so look. Look at these finely cut giant ass blocks and these little rocks in the back, right? So even if they wanted to build a wall, like, okay, with these little rocks, well, where can we get more rocks from to build our wall? Hey, there's rocks right here. Well, those rocks are too hard for us to chop. We can't even break these apart and move them to build our new wall. We just gonna have to leave them shits right there. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker can't even move these shits and use it the way they want it to. I'm surprised they got that other one stacked on top like that.
Some aspects of the
But the ones are just laying in the field like nobody couldn't even move these
but then
motherfuckers.
other parts are here.
Now look, they built this whole wall back there. You got all these little rocks back there to build that fucking wall. All this here, why ain't y'all use this? Why ain't y'all stack this shit up and build that wall with some of these pieces? Motherfucker can't even move that shit. They don't, man, that shit been sitting right there for so fucking long. Yeah, that shit is crazy. Like you said, it was a whole wall. Something hit that motherfucker, broke that shit apart from the impact and just had that shit strewn everywhere. They came back, was like, oh, well, we'll build our wall back here.
No particular order. This staircase, constructed out of older blocks from the megalithic period, and the Inca construction with a lintel, again, from a megalithic structure.
Yeah, that shit crazy.
Just saw our family that murdered the guys who killed Boston. I was waiting for you to recover or something like that.
Corrupt judges, dirty.
And once again, the Inca period water channel that may be much older, it's unknown. Water is channeled from the mountain to agriculture. Walking away from the Temple of the Condor, we see another aspect of Ollantaytambo in the background, where the Temple of the Sun is located. Now climbing up a staircase, again you see a water channel, very intelligent design by the Inca in order to keep people's feet dry and also to channel water towards agriculture. And these are the massive terraces built by the Inca. Each one is at least 12 feet tall, and here one is being used in an experiment to see how efficient the Inca agricultural system worked. 10 massive walls. These are some of the largest terraces or andenae in the Inca world. Time to climb an Inca staircase upwards towards the Temple of the Sun, and so-called Temple of the Sun. It was named that by the Inca, but its original function at this point is unknown. Up on the highest level, we start walking on this quite narrow Inca staircase system and trail, eventually reaching the Temple of the Sun. You can see the agriculture still functioning here after hundreds, if not thousands of years. And we're at the dizzying heights, but we can look down again at the town of Ollantaytambo. This shows you how precipitous this high area is. Now the camera is scanning up towards the megalithic Temple of the Sun and more massive Inca constructions. The path up here gets even narrower, as you can see, barely clinging to the rock face. And an Inca construction, town of Ollantaytambo, and now you can see some of the huge megalithic blocks we'll be studying. Along the way, we see these beautifully shaped stones almost completely submerged in the soil. Strange that they haven't been properly excavated. And here are some of the large granite blocks that once made up the Temple of the Sun. You can see here that the Inca reconstructed this wall using some of the megalithic blocks and then filling in with smaller stones. There you can see one of the megalithic blocks partially.
Yo, Beast, send me a picture of that shit. I want to see that. Please. I'm gonna act nicely. Please send me a picture. I wouldn't mind checking that out.
It was thrown a distance and basically buried itself. This event would have happened thousands upon thousands of years ago. And now we're getting into even larger stones. Again, remember, it's granite, it's a pinkish granite, and it's not local. This massive wall of 6 stones, and these shims, which likely were used for earthquake proofing, because if you have huge blocks right next to each other, they can crack. But these shims were actually able to move to some degree, reducing the power of any earthquake, and earthquakes are very common in the Cusco Sacred Valley area. Also note the surface, almost as if it's been troweled like a slab of butter. Lost ancient high technology, most likely. And you see the bedrock, which is not the granite, or of these large blocks of the pink granite. And curiously, you see what is called a keystone cut, supposedly made to hold the stones together with bronze clasps. Again, the sheer scale of these huge granite blocks that come from the mountain in the middle of the frame in the background. That is the quarry across the valley. The question, of course, is how could huge blocks like this be moved, and how could they be so precisely put together like this by a Bronze Age culture? The work is older by a sophisticated culture, and here we can actually see one of the possible cuts. The technology used was not a simple saw, but it was a very even tool that was able to cut through the stone. Some would say laser, but that's unlikely as lasers tend to melt stone. It could have been a sound tool or vibrational tool of some kind that was able to create this very nice flat surface, a quite even cut, about the thickness of a credit card. So now we approach the Great Wall, see the preciseness of the work. Then,
Peace out,
when
Puff.
we go to the side, see that the Inca reconstructed this wall because you have the huge pieces, filler of smaller pieces of stone.
This is Peru.
Likely an Inca reconstruction of something that was destroyed by a massive ancient
And that's what it is granite. Look at that shit.
This piece is not in its original position because you see the complexity of it. Why would it be sitting there by itself? It likely was part of a higher structure. And this shows you the precision of the flatness of the surface of a multi-ton block. Also, many of the surfaces are peeling, almost like skin falling off. This is not how granite breaks down. Granite tends to be like a sugar cube in that it crumbles eventually, but it doesn't peel off. This looks more like intense heat struck the surface and caused the surface to destabilize.
Alright,
As
let
we
me
look
paint
down,
somewhere.
again, we see massive blocks almost completely buried in the ground. Another story by academics is that the Inca never finished the project, but it's more likely that a cataclysm blew much of it up. This final aspect, we are going to enter this gateway, which again is megalithic with intriguing knobs protruding from the surface.
Those
and
knobs be
repair
everywhere,
on
yo.
top. Again, we see the bedrock, which is very unstable, almost like a shale, and then the beautiful, hard, and even pink granite. One time, this side was also a wall, as you can see by the foundation pieces and three-dimensional locking in of the stone. And again, we see beautiful megalithic polygonal work and crude repair. None of this repair has been done in modern times. Finally, we see that these joints are almost perfect. In some places, you can't fit a human hair in the complex joinery. Thanks to Cliff and Stella from Australia for allowing me to guide them. Cliff is an engineer, and he was completely blown away at what he saw. And so now, with my wife Irene there, it's time to leave Ollantaytambo. But of course, we will return many more times because there's so much still to learn at this beautiful, ancient gem of Peruvian culture.
Yeah, Peru.
I wonder where this stone once rested in its original place. So these are related books at Amazon.com. A brief history of the Inca from rise through reign to ruin. Inca before the Spanish conquest. Lost ancient technology of Peru and Bolivia. The aftershock, the ancient global cataclysm that erased much of human history.
Who was here 20,000 years ago to build complex structures on the continent of Antarctica?
If the pre-Adamites existed, and Antarctica was their base where they built powerful pyramids to affect the planet.
As well, these are upcoming tours of 2018. Mexico, exploration of the Maya, Olmec, Toltec, and Aztec civilizations in January. Egypt in March, lost ancient high technology before the pharaohs. Again, Contact in the Desert, June 1st to 3rd in Indian Wells, California. The Inti Raymi celebration of the sun in June in Cusco and beyond. Elongated Skulls tour of Peru in August of 2018. Croatia and Bosnia, the coast of Croatia and the Bosnian pyramids in October.
Hey everyone, this is Ben from Puka J Productions. I've got a new video for you today. I have been digging through our archives. This is something that I had always meant to get released. This is the full interview that we did with Brian Forrester in I think December 2015. Sat down and Brian was very kind to spend an afternoon with us wandering around in Cusco. I've travelled with Brian for several weeks through Peru and Bolivia in the past. He's a great guy, he's very generous with his time and his knowledge.
I don't think it's aliens.
In touch with Brian,
I think that
talk about having him back on our podcast soon, which we hope to do.
we have lost a very, very substantial portion of the history of mankind, and there was a global civilization just like we have today, global communications. And there was a global energy source, trade, and I don't know, there was basically life as it is today, just kind of different. But not too much different. I'm pretty sure they had some type of, mass communications. Where you could talk to people at a great distance or view people at a great distance, different forms of transportation to travel great distances using minimal time and energy that we are just not aware of, that we cannot comprehend, that has not withstood the harshness of time, because they say, well, where are the tools at? Well, if I don't give a fuck if you leave a dump truck, and if you leave a cement mixer, and if you leave 10 bundles of rebar and some fucking steel beams, and you just leave them shit sitting anywhere on this planet that has some type of seasonal change and atmospheric change where it's going to be exposed to rain and things like that. In 100 years, that dump truck, that cement mixer, that rebarb, those steel beams, you can leave all your tools out there, your drills, your hammers, your nail guns,
In 100 years, that shit is gonna be rusted to fuck. In 200 years, it'll be falling apart. In 1,000 years, it'll be barely recognizable. In 10,000 years, it won't be there. It will be rusted and consumed by time in 10,000 years. But you know what will stand that long? A stone, a piece of rock. That shit don't rust away. So when all your tools and all your means of construction are gone, but your structures are still left behind. I don't know if it was intentionally lost either. You know what I'm saying? Right now, today, if a fucking asteroid hits this planet, if we get hit by a major corona expulsion and it shuts down our fucking power grid, or if the fucking San Andreas fault and the goddamn Yellowstone caldera blow up or some shit, we are fucked. We are fucked. And if there is a major impact and we dwindle, our species dwindles back down to a few 100,000 people planet wide, you know what I'm saying? In a couple thousand years, this shit won't be here. If you pull all the people out of New York City today, right now, and nobody can't touch that shit for 10,000 years, what the fuck you think New York is gonna look like? You think those buildings are gonna still be standing there, pristine and completely showing evidence of what they were? The remnants of it will be so hard to detect that anything was there, and that any kind of intelligence was there to construct something. Maybe some small remnants like giant stones will be left behind, but all the metal and plastic and all that shit is gone. So what if our past is older than we think it is? You know, what if intelligent, cognitive, abstract thinking man has been here longer than 200,000 years? Because that's what they're giving us, right? Modern man kind of basically emerged 200,000 years ago. So what if we were already at the peak of a civilization 200,000 years ago? And that civilization crashed and fell for whatever reasons. And 200,000 years later, you know, hardly any of this information and wisdom and the teaching of the ancient ones who would have seemed godlike to us is barely left behind. So we make up all these myths and stories about who did what and at what age and what period. Nobody really fucking knows, but we have the proof. It's there. Somebody cut this fucking giant ass stone and moved it and made and built walls and built temples out of this shit. And who were they? And how long ago did they do it? We don't fucking know. But somebody did. It actually happened on this fucking planet here. And you can walk there and you can touch this shit. And there were a people who lived, and to them it was normal. It was not some extremely unachievable accomplishment. It was normal everyday life. And I could only imagine what type of life it is where that is your norm. You know, to have the power of a fucking god.
background?
Well, I've been interested in ancient enigmas since I was a little kid, and I think all little kids are interested, except I didn't grow out of it, whereas most kids do. And, you know, the Sphinx, of course, was a fascination. Indigenous cultures have always been a fascination because growing up in Canada, my own family and, you know, the European history is very dull. But when you meet Indigenous people who have been there, well, Europeans have been there for 100, you know, the European history is very dull. But when you meet Indigenous people
Why is the European history very dull? Because the deeper you go, the deeper you dig, the darker everything gets. It's all a tribute to black people, brown and black skinned people. And Europeans, it's hard for them to even really comprehend where they come from. And it is because the deeper you dig, the darker shit gets. It's like, what the fuck? Where did we come from then? Where were we at? And they know that they are derivatives of dark people. And then once a real European starts thinking along these lines of concepts and how they have colonized their parents over and over and over and have subjugated literally the parents of their race, and they have this complex, and some of them will break out of it and talk about this shit. Now I've never listened to this right here, so I'm going to be very interested in what he says, because he's going out and researching and giving tours on these megalithic structures and, you know, all these non-European countries. And now he's kind of touching on his whiteness a little bit and what interests him. It's always interesting. Probably won't say a lot, but you can pick up a little bit out of a few words.
in there. Well, Europeans have been there for 150 years, and indigenous people have been there for 10,000 years plus. So they know what the world is that you're living in, and so that's always been something that I've done. I took up carving, which became a profession. I actually didn't bother continuing on with university because I preferred to do that. And my also a very major interest in Polynesia, because how did these people get from Tahiti to, how did they find these islands? So I lived in Hawaii to learn how that was, how wayfinding was done. And I basically covered all of Polynesia, and when I got to Raiatea, which is the center, the heart, then all of a sudden that interest turned off, more or less. So I thought, woke up one morning and this little voice in my head said, Peru, 4 times. And I went, oh, I've never been, there's Machu Picchu in Peru. So when I came here the first time, I hired a guide who tried to explain to me how all of these megalithic works were done, and I just said, no, you're talking nonsense. A Bronze Age culture is able to shape granite and basalt. Something's going on here. And then the more that I spent time here, I knew that there had to have been an older culture that had lost ancient high technology, similar to Egypt. And so I follow my heart, and this is where my heart is.
Peru and South America, Mesoamerica in general, is fascinating structures and buildings here. Before we get into that, though, I just want to ask you quickly about Göbekli Tepe and how you think, or what you feel about Göbekli Tepe and what ramifications it has, and whether it makes us reconsider where we are in terms of archaeology and the history of humans.
Well, we've had it nailed into our heads that real civilization began 6,000 years ago in the Indus Valley. And
why do they always say real civilization began 6,000 years ago? All right, I'm gonna have to segue real quick. I don't know if we can stay on point long enough, but this dude just drops little shit like that when you have to listen to what other people say, though. Real civilization started 6,000 years ago.
quickly. But let me explain. Look. You're an Englishman. In the English school curriculum, they teach that the English, the British, the Brits were barbarians. They were running around, beating each other in the head and doing all kinds of barbaric things. They were very uncivilized people. But some people came to teach them how to bathe and how to make roads and things like this. These people they identify as the Romans because there was a great Roman Empire. We agree. Then you go and study the Romans and find out where the Romans say they got their civilization from. They say they got it from the Greeks. So you say, oh, wonderful, Athenia and the Hellenistic period. So then you go and study the Greeks. Pythagoras and the boys. And when you study the Greeks, they say they got all of their civilization from Egypt. Go ahead. Where is Egypt? Africa. Black people. Yes. And today we're in denial about basic reality. That's right. And so I'm saying to you that it's really just important to understand that as Caucasian people, all of those, look, when Napoleon arrived in Egypt, he saw the great statue of Ramesses. He saw the great edifices of the Sphinx and all of it. You know what Napoleon did? When Napoleon saw the nose that looked like my nose, he was so upset because all of these great statues, they got a nose like mine. And you don't have a nose like mine if you are a Caucasian. You only have a nose like mine if you're a black man. And these were black men. Huge statues that scared the life out of Napoleon. And so he told his soldiers, turn the cannons on these statues and blow the noses off.
Big as fuck, bro. I gotta go see them shit.
The identity of the builders of the great Sphinx. Go there today. And you will see that they're black people. Egypt, the word Egypt means the land of the blacks. The word Kemet. Of course, very few are dark today because of migration and the fact that black people have been pushed out and destroyed over the period of time that you have been here. This is why the white man, look, when do you know that we were circumnavigating the entire planet thousands and thousands of years ago? But only 500 years ago, Caucasian people thought the world was flat. You thought that if you sailed too far out into the sea, you'd fall off the edge. But black people had already circumnavigated the entire globe. And so, we, as black people, you came into the Caribbean. If you read Columbus's log, he said he found paradise. And the people who took gold for granted. We use gold for little artifacts, but it's no big deal to us. When the white man saw gold, he went mad. He called it a gold rush. And he started to kill people for a metallic object. The white man, he came into what he called a new world. And so all of a sudden you started to name things. So that's why you called it America. Based on, what was his name? Amerigo Vespucci, a Caucasian. That's why you called it Africa, based on the European explorer called Africanus. You went into America, you called it New York. That's right. Because it was new to you. New England. You called it New England. Right. You called it New Zealand. You called it Newfoundland. Because it was new to you. But to us, we were already there. That's why we're called Aboriginals. Ab, meaning abstracted from the Father. From God Himself. Original, meaning the first. But you won't find Caucasian people calling themselves Aboriginal anywhere on the planet. Because you're the new man, Paul Newman. You're a brand new man to the planet. And I say again, because I know you think we're joking, and we don't back up from this one iota. We made you. We made you through a process of genetic engineering. 6,000 years ago, from one blood came all human beings.
How long ago did he say? Now that's the only thing that be killing me about that fucking Nation of Islam shit, yo. A motherfucker say, we made the white man 6,000 years ago. And then white people, now what the other white dude say? He said, well, since the beginning of history, which was 6,000 years ago, like, yeah, because apparently that's only as far back as Europeans can trace themselves. And they can't stretch it farther back than 6,000 years. And these are two different people talking about two completely different subjects. Let me go back to the other video real quick.
You feel about Göbekli Tepe in general, fascinating structures and buildings here. Before we get into that, though, I just want to ask you quickly about Göbekli Tepe and how you think, or what you feel about Göbekli Tepe and what ramifications it has, and whether it makes us reconsider where we are in terms of archaeology and the history of humans.
Well, we've had it nailed into our heads that real civilization began 6,000 years ago in the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia and stuff. And Göbekli Tepe is finally the most obvious example of a sophisticated site that was built 12,000 plus years ago.
Okay, so now he's going against mainstream archaeology, says that what we know as civilization started 6,000 years ago in the Mesopotamia, right? That's as far back as they can insert themselves. Now, this is mainstream, so this is all European. If you hear mainstream, it ain't no Africans, got no say-so in none of this stuff. So mainstream European archaeology says civilization started 6,000 years ago in the Andes Valleys, Mesopotamia. Okay, right? That's what this dude is saying, right? Now he's saying he's going against mainstream archaeology, and he thinks it started, 10,000 years before that. Now, aren't these two people saying the exact same thing? The black dude is telling this white man, look, we made you 6,000 years ago because we've been here for thousands of years, and we've been here so long that our technology was so good that we were able to do that. Oh, y'all ain't hearing me though. Y'all ain't making the correlations, is it? Oh, damn.
It's important to understand that as Caucasian people, all of those, look, when Napoleon, go ahead, knows that, look, if you are a Napoleon and still does, circumnavigating the age, you thought as black age, we use people for, you called it, for expelling Aboriginal Caucasian people, calling themselves Aboriginal anywhere on the planet. Because you're the new man, Paul Newman. You're a brand new man to the planet. And I say again, because I know you think we're joking, and we don't back up from this one iota. We made you. We made you through a process of genetic engineering. 6,000 years ago, from one blood came all human beings, but we produced you from us. Because within us there are two germs, a black one and a brown one. This is not insulting language, this is science. And we found within ourselves a contrary nature. And so we engineered this from ourselves, and it was produced as a Caucasian human being. And the first one of you that came on the planet was just 6,600 years ago. What was the point that you mentioned? Humus. Look at this.
That real civilization began 6,000 years ago in the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia and stuff. And Göbekli Tepe is finally the most obvious example of a sophisticated site that was built 12,000 plus years ago. It was supposedly buried 12,000 years ago. And so that shows that people were quite sophisticated at that time. They had to be able to coordinate each other to be able to find the stone, move it, set it up, line the stones up to the different celestial and lunar alignments and stuff like that. So it's technically it's not very impressive looking as compared to here. But the fact that it has been dated, being at least 12,000 years ago, opens the door for academics having to look at sites in Peru, Bolivia, Egypt, and some other parts of the world as being at least the same age, if not older.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about dating techniques and like some of the problems involved with carbon dating and stuff like that? How do we date stone? How do we figure out how old the stone really is?
Okay, well, carbon-14 is what everyone knows about, and that only applies to organic materials, which leaves stone out of the picture. But there's a new test called cosmogenic testing, and that measures the amount of solar radiation which has penetrated up to 1 meter into stone. And it's basically the reverse of carbon-14, because carbon-14 is where the level of carbon-14 as it deteriorates gives you an estimate of age, but cosmogenic is where it's the buildup, and it actually transforms some of the minerals inside the stone. So with that technology, you're able to know how long the stone has been on the surface, exposed to the sun.
So have we been able to do any of that testing, or is anybody doing that down here?
Well, we've attempted to. Some samples from Pumapunku were sent to Purdue University in the United States, and they said they would test it, and then the supervisor of the laboratory found out where the stone came from, and he said, "You're not testing that material."
So this is something you run into a lot, isn't it, with...
Well, yeah, and then the second time, it was sent to a laboratory in France, and they said, "Yes, we'll date this." We didn't tell them where it was from, I don't think. And the results, when they came back to the lab, they contacted us and they said, "We're sending your money back because the age of the stone surfaces cannot be older than what archaeologists accept the age of Pumapunku is," which tells us that it's older. Right. And so I'm going to blackmail that laboratory pretty soon. And then it was sent to another laboratory, and again they said, "No, we're not going to test this material." So the problem that we have is people actually believe, like a Walt Disney film, that that science is this open pursuit of knowledge, but when you find out that it's actually a little boy and girls club where they protect each other, that's why it's important for you guys, and me and others to expose the fact that we have been lied to about our history, and it's our birthright to know.
Yeah, that's very much the thing we're trying to get to. Right.
Yeah.
So now, Pumapunku seems to be primarily andesite, but there's this red sandstone there as well. But what I've noticed, a lot of these other sites, there's a large amount of shaped andesite blocks that aren't actually used in any construction. They're just kind of sitting around. Have you noticed the same thing, or is there something that they were using andesite for at some of these other sites? I mean, I've been seeing it almost everywhere. There's andesite just sitting around.
Oh, what, you mean the piles?
Yeah, there's definitely piles, or they've been put into like walls or something where they obviously weren't initially.
Well, this is a prime example of that. That's recycling by the Inca. The Inca used exclusively andesite because this whole area is andesite. Because the Inca's role was to build buildings out of what was available. So they recycled some of the damaged structures from the early megalithic builders. What's intriguing about the Inca is that they appear to have been incredibly respectful of whoever it was that first built Cusco. They seemingly would never touch any of the surfaces and remove something. But if something was on the ground, it's like...
There's a couple of paintings that I started and never finished that I didn't like. Yeah, most of the time, if I don't like something, if I don't like something, I just won't finish it. I can kind of feel it, like, I don't know, before I get too into the project, and it's like, I'm not gonna do this. Just gonna stop right here where I'm at right now. So yeah, I've painted a couple of things and that never got finished. You know, I don't know. It's just like you lose that vibe for it, and it's like, nah, this ain't gonna work good with me. So I just leave it alone. All right, so where am I at now on this piece? I was working on a little fur collar, adding some more highlights to the little fuzzy parts, added some more detailing to the 2 necklaces she's wearing. So honestly, what's left is the white and the shadow on the cup actually needs a little touching up to it. Her jacket has some highlights I want to add on some of the folds and wrinkles here, just to make that fabric fold even more and pop out a little bit more. I want to brighten this patch up on where because this sunlight is coming in here and it's getting this really harsh, like bright white right here and even on the table. So a little more highlights on this leather, and once the table dries, some just want to tune up some of the wood grain, make some of the tree lines a little more defined, and then it'll be done. I don't think I'm going to touch her face anymore. Her lips, I may add like a little more highlight to her lips. I don't think I'm going to do anything else to the background. Her shirt looks good. The necklace looks good. The fuzzy part looks good on the jacket. So yeah, it's just down to the leather, the leather, the cup, and the table. Yeah, definitely. As soon as you get in the house and get yourself cleaned up and shit, I should be on the game. He said take you about an hour. Yeah, so, just check the network and see if I'm online, yo, and hit me up. What it look like outside? It's a nice bright day. I might have to get out the house just to do something. Yeah, it look nice as fuck outside. A lot of clouds in the sky, but still a lot of sunlight shining. See the mountains in the background. Step out and get me some sun for a little while. I've been doing a lot of running the past couple of days though, I ain't gonna lie. So it's Saturday, I might just do the fucking video games. Oh yeah, go ahead and get it for that grass to get wet. Fuck that. And then it'll be twice as hard to cut that bitch tomorrow. Shit, it rain, your grass grow goddamn half an inch. Shit, motherfucker. I'm trying to cut it right after the rain, like when that grass is still kind of wet. Man, you be fighting that shit, man. Yeah, do that shit right now. You know about the rain too? Shit, I'll be doing the same thing. I beat that goddamn water. But that's that real good summertime shit, though. It's something about that shit, bro. Cutting that grass and then having that fresh cut grass smell. I like that shit. And then that rain. And if you real sensitive, you can smell the rain 30 miles away for that shit to even come. You know what I'm saying? My grandma was good at that shit. Just, oh, it's about to rain. Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, I can smell it. I was like, damn. But you can train yourself, man. You can smell that rain coming. I can smell that shit sometimes. So you got them good summer rainy days like that. You had that fucking fresh grass smell. And then that fucking summertime rain smell. Man, I be loving that shit, yo. Nostalgia. Alright, I'm gonna take one rip for the road. A rip for the road, rip for the road. Take, a rip for the road, rip for the road, rip for the road. Take, a rip for the road, rip. That can be, you can like dub that like a couple of times and like stack those vocals, rip for the road, and then use that shit in like a techno beat or some shit. I might have to try that shit, man. I do need to do some communicating with people today, trying to set up some interviews and shit for this show. Like I say, shit is never done. It's never done, it's never done. Alright. I am almost at 3.5 hours, so I'm definitely about to take a break up out of here. Oh yeah. Goddamn. Shit. Alright. I'm going downstairs. I probably stream my gameplay for a minute, so I'll see you downstairs in like 2 minutes. Peace.